Okay, let's go to roll call. 5 minutes, kind of weird. Senator Abdali. Present. Senator Aki.
Present.
Present. Senator Bondi. Here. Senator Chinawala. Present. Senator Cortez.
Present.
Senator DeCarlo.
Present.
Senator G. Simonian. Senator Gonzalez. Senator Guerrero. Senator Horvitz. Senator Kong.
Present.
Senator Gutierrez. Senator Lynn.
Present.
Senator Lopez. Senator Natashahi.
Present.
Senator Nambar. Senator Nguyen. Present. Senator Ramirez. Senator Shi. Senator Turner. Senator Wong. Present. Okay, lovely. Let's move into A2 excused absences. Are there any excused absences? Senator Wong.
Motion to excuse Senator Lopez until 7:30 due to time conflict with work.
There's been a motion to excuse Senator Lopez until 7:30 due to time conflict with work. Is there a second? Senator Natashahi.
Second.
There's been a motion in a second. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, okay, motion passed. Are there any other excused absences? Senator Wong.
Motion to excuse Senator Gonzalez until actually we haven't started.
Senator-elect.
Yeah, Senator-elect Gonzalez until 7 p.m. due to work conflict.
There's been a motion to excuse Senator Gonzalez until 7 p.m. due to work conflict. Is there a second? Senator G. Simonian.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion passed. Any more excused absences? All the people who let me know ahead of time. Let's see, we can do. Yeah, everyone's just excused for this because it's week 10. So that's fine. We'll move to A3 acceptance proxies. Okay, seeing none, we'll move into public forum. Is there anyone here for public forum? Okay, we'll have you go first.
Hi.
I'm gonna read this.
Oh, yeah.
That's okay.
Sure.
Okay, speaking agreement, you have 3 minutes to speak with 3 minutes for Q&A. Please state your name, pronouns, and enunciate for refrain from yelling. Speculation of a senator's intentions is prohibited and may result in leaving the ability to speak on the floor. Please note this meeting is being recorded. You may speak on any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not. Please include a content warning, but be graphic. You may only come up once and you may choose not to answer questions. Is that okay with you? Okay, great. If you could tell us your first and last name and pronouns, would be fun.
My name is Maximo Perez. I use they them pronouns, and I am here representing an RSO who tried to get funding 2 weeks ago. I think someone mentioned something about it being on today's meeting notes.
Okay, can I get the spelling of your name without?
Yes, Maximo.
Okay, awesome.
EREZ. Yeah, so we asked for funding for our print version of our publication 2 weeks ago, and we're told to get a second quote from AF Printers. We did, we aren't able to go with that second quote despite it being cheaper because they no longer have the adequate binding or printing to our standards for previous years that did. So we came to last week's meeting. We're told to that next week. So next week, so we were told by your finance chair to come to this meeting to try and get it funded this way.
Okay, is that?
Yes.
Okay, are you okay to take questions?
Yes.
Okay, senators, are there any questions for speaking? Can I ask how much money you're asking for?
I don't have it off the top of my head. My laptop's in the shop.
Okay.
I think it was something between between $900 and $1,100. Is that the question?
Senator Giuseppe.
I'm a little bit confused. Is this something you want appointed or approved today?
Ideally, yeah. So we tried to do it 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Because I imagine we would need to a detailed quote to You really sign off on it.
Yes, I can get you the details, but like I said,
Okay,
I don't have them
Yeah.
on me, but
Alright.
if you'll continue to hear this by the end of the meeting.
alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could just email that, like any information to my email, if you have like your phone, it's as-internalvp@ucsb.edu. And then I can make sure to get that on there.
Yes, would I be able to take a seat so that you continue?
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. Okay, anyone else here for public forum? Yes, please, no. You heard the speaking agreement?
Yes.
Okay, do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Can we get names, please?
I'm Matthew Schoen, I guess former, current, Commissioner of Environmental Sustainability within the Office of the President, and then also co-chair of the Deer Waste Committee.
Hi, my name is Lily Mejia. I'm the local affairs chair for Lobby Corps and the county liaison for the EDCI's office.
Yeah,
Awesome, feel free to start.
yeah, okay, so we are within ASOP, I guess we're working on like a project, and through ASOP, we transferred funds. For the Eternal Flame Monument, we're a 4-person student group, we're looking to revitalize it, so we just been in the process of like. Getting stakeholders signed on this year, coming up with designs, identifying fabricators, things like that. We secured $10,000 from TQCom and then $2,500 from EAB. And that was moved to the ASOP account because me and then another ASOP member, we're just gonna manage the funds, that would be easier to do it that way. Within the whole context of us like graduating, working towards the end of the quarter, we forgot to remind Leanne to formally request for rollover. So that is now, that $12,500 that we needed for our project is now kind of in limbo. We've been in contact with finance and Michael, who can like really delve into signing off on redoing stuff. He is on leave till June 10th. So Arian told me to come to the meeting today because you guys can vote to approve the rollover into the account, into the ASOP account for next year. That's what I was told. Yeah. But yeah, the reason it's delayed is just because like any project we run into like road bumps, in terms of just like contacting fabricators, finalizing design, going back and like revising the design, things like that. So that's what we need for next year.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. Is that it?
Yes.
Are you free to take questions?
Yes, of course.
Okay, awesome. Senators, do you have any questions for our speakers? Okay, I have a clarifying question.
Okay.
So is the rollover from the Office of the President's account or?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
and it's, you said 12,500.
12,500.
Okay, I will note that down and then we'll cover that during G3 financial allocation section, and then you'll receive an email from me or Senate leadership about whether or not the request got approved.
Okay, and will that go to Leanne?
We can get that email to you guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Perfect. Thank you guys
Thank you so much. Okay, anyone else for public forum? I'll have Don come up.
Oh, no.
Sorry, guys. You heard the speaking agreement? Do you agree?
Yes.
Okay, lovely. Feel free to start.
Hello, my name is John Sylvester. I use he, him pronouns, and I am the Officer of Finance for Finance Production Company. I was in here last week trying to clarify a funding issue we had, and when I emailed Jenny, I was told that anything that wasn't going to be retroactively paid for would get passed on to you guys and should, I can just quote it. I will instruct the Senate to fund the parts that are not retroactive, and then I gave them all the information. And I'm here to formally request funding in that way in case there's any questions for clarification, so it can get passed smoothly. It is a sum of $2,835 to the music department for allowing us to put on our 24-hour musical that was 2 weeks ago. We have not paid any money to them yet, so this would not be considered retroactive as far as I'm concerned. And I can answer any questions from there. I have the invoice pulled up in front of me as well, if anybody needs it.
Okay, awesome. Senators, any questions for our speaker? Okay, clarifying question for you. Could you forward that, or I guess not, it's not really a question. Do you mind, or it is a question, do you mind forwarding that invoice to my email so I can send that to the senators? Thank you. It's as-internalvp@ucsb.edu.
Of course, yeah.
Okay, great.
Anything else?
Anything else? Senator Khan?
I was just curious and wondering what's the musical about and how's the 24 hours musical with the help?
It was a production of Shrek the Musical, and what we did was we used Lottie Lehman Concert Hall as the production venue. That's also where we did That's also where we did all the rehearsing, because the way a 24-hour musical works is it's not performing for 24 hours, it's rehearsing for 24 hours, and that's all of the rehearsal and then doing the show. So we used Lottie Lehman Concert Hall and a few other rooms in the music department to do all of the rehearsing beforehand. And then we also used their equipment and lighting microphone system, so that's why we used it.
Okay, great. Any more questions for our speaker? Lovely. Thanks so much for coming, John.
Alrighty, thank you so much, and I'll get that email to you right away.
Great, thank you. Okay, anyone else for public forum? Yes,
She
you're,
not seem happy.
no, come. So excited to have you.
I didn't prepare. Oh, so. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yeah. Can you read the speaking agreement to us just like really slowly though, so I can process it?
Of course. You have 3 minutes to speak with 3 minutes for Q&A.
Yes.
Please state your name, pronouns, and enunciate, but refrain from yelling. Speculation of a senator's intentions is prohibited and may result in you being removed from the ability to speak on the floor. Please know this meeting is being recorded. You may speak on any issue, whether it's on the agenda or not. Please include a content warning if it will be graphic. You may only come up once and you may choose not to answer any questions.
Love.
Do you agree?
No. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
And also love the ASL. Okay, so I'm Mira Fan, I'm a former senator. I know, trying to relive the glory days or something, whatever. You probably saw a lot of senators come in and talk to you, but Mira Fan, she, her, and I'm Vanessa. And Corbin. She, her. Okay. Yeah, so we're former senators and we kind of wanted to talk a little bit about these new job descriptions and just our experience as people who made this legislation to create a feedback form for students regarding staff and their staff with problems. I'm not sure if you guys are aware regarding the situation with BWHC last year this past quarter, how because of their lack of advisorship, it kind of exploded into this long or larger association problem. So, and as two individuals, especially for me, who's been, looking into staff or trying to support staff who are on the lower rungs or see those who are actually actively working for us versus those who might not be exactly present, I kind of wanted to give you guys a forewarning about my own personal experience. I find it a little interesting about this new AS advisor for student advocacy, equity, and well-being being created right now at the end of our past our term. And I feel like it was at least a little bit of a reactionary response to what happened with the BWHC situation, considering that I actually earlier in school year, maybe around September, October, actually made a petition or something similar and had discussions about the fact that SCORE, BWHC, I think I wrote IAC, which might not be right, sorry, the Investment Advisory Committee, CODE, which is the Commission on Disability Equity. Several of these organizations did not have advisors. And I'm also, former liaison committee vice chair. So I also will this is sporadic. I also let you know whoever the next liaison chair is, I will be sending you some forms. I just have to let Vicky update me on who that is. But me and within the liaison committee, we made an entire BCU sheet about what staff advisor is to who, and we sent it out to staff. So they were aware about who didn't have a staff advisor or maybe who was being under supported. And that was at the beginning of the school year. And I feel like this being out right now, despite us students being aware and clocking it at the beginning of the school year, just feels a little bit disheartening. I'm glad that this is here and they're hiring for it. And of course, it's up to the Senate to approve it. But I feel like this could have been well executed way earlier. Another thing is that I have been in adverse relations with a couple of staff. And because I've been trying to champion some of the needs of people who I feel like were marginalized and discriminated within the association, and as a result, allegedly, because I'm getting into maybe hearsay, but allegedly I've heard that a lot of them like ended up talking behind my back. So these are also full-grown adults, by the way. And I'm giving you a forewarning as to if you guys work in the association, try to fix things within the association, that there were certain staff as a result of like maybe some of my actions, which may have been ill-advised, but some of my action resulted in them talking behind my back, complaining about me to my chair, talking about legislation and just like some of the work I was doing in a little bit of a disrespectful manner and never actually talking to me about it. Oh, sorry.
It's time. Do you know how we're finding?
Yes, I would appreciate more time. Also, I mean, Vanessa's just a different speaker, so yeah, I'd appreciate maybe like 3 more minutes.
Okay, Senator Con.
Motion to extend the speaker's time by 3 minutes.
There's been a motion to extend the speaker's time by 3 minutes. Is there a second? Senator Gismodian.
Sure.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, lovely.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Chair. And yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought, but essentially, I'm really looking forward to what the Senate is doing in this upcoming term. I'm sure you guys will be doing great work. The main thing, I guess, from my experience, when you guys are going into these things and you identify problems within staff, or maybe you see that some staff are being disenfranchised, you will experience these barriers, and that's just the fact of institutions and just like institutional discrimination. And you'll also notice that sometimes they won't respond. Some people won't respond to you unless it pertains to matters for them. I've had experience where I'm trying to get some work done and I don't receive any really like help or support. But when I engage in behaviors that are adverse to things that maybe like certain staff want, then they're really quick on the money. I will be making some sort of like reference things for this. I know everyone's probably gonna forget this once I get out of here or like throughout the summer, but I have intentions to send you guys some sort of like timeline slideshow about my experiences with my evidence, as well as trying to like support the Senate as well going on. But yeah, this was kind of just a forewarning. Of course, I don't want to make you afraid of staff. There's a lot of good staff. There's a lot of helpful staff. You will see who is present and who is not as you continue this. And I just want to say this is not just a personal beef I have. This is actually something that I learned from the previous Senates and talking to previous senators and previous people of the association. And this doesn't even happen within just the Senate. This is an association-wide thing. So this is just ultimately just kind of a be careful warning. Also keep yourself safe, because especially if you're not a senior, some of these things will come back to bite you. And I'm a senior and I'm graduating, so it doesn't matter to me. But and if you are a senior, be sure to champion the wishes of people who are, who need advocacy but cannot say it because they're not a senior. And that's pretty much it from me. Any questions? You will be a different speaker, right? All right, any questions? I'm done.
That's what I was told too.
Oh,
Sure,
sure.
that's probably by accident.
Okay, here.
Yeah, any senators? Senator Wong?
Yes.
Hey, what's up? I'm gonna be liaison chair, so.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, hopefully the vote goes through, but if it does, then.
Then I won't give you anything. That's awesome.
But anyways, I was wondering, thank you so much for coming here, but I was wondering what do you support the making of this new position? And I guess just for some context, it has been specifically stated now that it's going to be an in-person position where the city lead advisor has to come to all the meetings in person.
That's really interesting, given that a lot of advisors don't even come to their meetings, but that's an opposite thing. I hope with more staff, maybe they'll be able to focus on their advisorship. Well, I mean, I don't have any words on it because I personally am, kind of a biased person regarding staff. Obviously, this is an important position. This also should have been, as I was saying, a position that could have been established way earlier on, and we could have prevented a lot of the things that happened these past 2 quarters if this was something that was in the works prior. And I do believe that this was the lack of advisorship was brought to several staff attention, but I'm not sure, maybe they're too busy to be able to work on it.
they were also under the impression that they did have an advisor like Code and BWHC and SCORE, for example. I know with working with them because I was their liaison that one of them tried to have a meeting with their advisor, they did not show up, and then they were never able to get in contact with them again. And I think those are some things that we also should consider if these advisors are working for their VCUs. But it's really up to the Senate to decide. I don't really have any pluses or minuses. This is an important decision, but I also want to consider everything else.
Senator Cole?
Former Senator Pan, I'll be hopefully to vote like FISA liaison vice chair. So want to ask, do you have any like thought or opinions on what action should we take to the job description?
Oh, she's gonna talk about the job description. I have not really looked at it. Some of these things aren't even, I'm sure you guys have Discord, but sorry, I haven't even looked at it. I will be sending these to you. I'm very surprised that you wanted to be the part of the liaison committee. That's so beautiful and wonderful. I'll be sending you guys some sheets and resources as well then. And I guess definitely, as the liaison committee, and Jasmine's already been in it, so she can help support you. Just remember to advocate for students, obviously, first of all, but to focus on staff because they've really been neglected in more ways than one. And especially like the advisors, they're really like a lot of them have a high workload. And kind of just need support that they haven't been given. Because all of us want to do our own projects and stuff, and that's fine. But in general, I don't really know. She's speaking on what's it called? The job description. Sorry, I don't have much to give you. Love to see the SpongeBob outfit though. It's beautiful. That's it. Any more questions?
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Okay,
Oh no.
okay. Yeah, we already have your name written down, so.
Okay, yeah, so I wanted to, sorry, can I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I just wanted to speak on the job description a little bit. I'm a little confused by it since you guys are saying that it's fully in person, but it says hybrid on there. And it also explicitly states that they will maintain a strong presence on campus. So that's like really confusing wording. Are they actually gonna be here full time, all the time for students? Or are they gonna be sometimes remotely online? And I think that's like an issue that I want you guys to be aware of in the future. Because, obviously it says two different things than what we are not actually like thinking about. And I think we've kind of learned how, when advisors are not here, there's a lot of conflict, especially with emails, just communication. So I think for this position to be hybrid is actually like seriously like problematic, especially since they're saying that they're gonna be navigating like conflict planning, not preventing, not planning, like that kind of wording. I don't know how they're gonna be able to do that when they're not, as they said, fully in person. And I think also it's kind of problematic to group all these minority groups into one advisor, because they all have different experiences. So I think that's definitely something to consider as you guys are, looking through this job description as well. And lastly, I think like it keeps talking about planning, like organizing, guiding them through event planning, which I feel like that was not the issues that a lot of these VCUs brought up. It was purely the financial. Like it was a lot about how they were paying companies and the companies were giving them lawsuits because they weren't able to get their, check. And I think this job description doesn't address that problem that these VCUs have, basically came to us last year. And just the fact that this job description is, especially the part about the, I guess, whether it's hybrid or fully in person, like you guys can't like vote yes on this until that is completely fixed and, stated explicitly that it's on in person, fully in person. And I strongly recommend that you guys don't vote on a position that is hybrid.
Great. Is there anything else you want to add? Is that it, Vanessa?
Huh?
Is there more you wanted to say?
Well, I guess oops. Well, I don't know. Yeah, well, also I was working on a lot of projects regarding like job descriptions. I just wasn't able to pass them during my time because I had a lot of personal issues that came up. But I'd be happy to, give some of these bills to some of you guys if you guys want to continue and work on it on your own. I'll be happy if you guys want it. I'll reach out to you guys. That's it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Senators, any questions for our speakers? Senator Wall?
Thanks so much for coming here. Yeah, I totally see your concerns, like how it says in person, but it also has that part about like hybrid and isn't like entirely clear about how in person it is. I do see your concerns and I guess I was wondering, like with specifically your point about how you're saying that it might not be good for all of these different VCUs to have one advisor. I was wondering what were you thinking the staff should actually look like?
Well, I mean, I think like my personal priority, if I was still senator, would be focusing on the finance because they were getting sued. They were, people were harassing, not harassing, sorry, that's the wrong word, but just, constantly on their butts. Sorry, for like getting payments. And I don't know necessarily if this job description or if this job is gonna fix all those issues. And there's a lot of EOP advisors, which I already like know personally that these VCUs go out to that already exist on campus. So like it doesn't need to be like an AS, like there's so many resources on campus that they can use to actually plan these cultural events. Whereas AS needs to be more just internal and structural on the financial side, in my opinion.
Senator DeSalini?
Thank you so much for coming, Vanessa. What do you say in your experience as a senator we're on liaison committee last year, right?
No.
At outreach or outreach?
What was on both?
Or, would you say from what you've seen that there is any need for advising these groups in terms of like non-structural financial things, like in terms of event planning and all that? Because you're right, that does seem to be what on paper this job is officially supposed to be covering. And from what I saw last year, 90% of the problems that were going on were not these groups that had a fine time, from my understanding, organizing events and doing all that. It was purely the infrastructure that we're having trouble with. So would you say that there's from what you've seen that there was any need for help with the event side?
Yeah, I was also in a lot of VCUs before I became a senator, and honestly, the staff that was assigned to us were non-existent and it was almost entirely student-led like projects. So I don't necessarily see how like having this person will make the events like necessarily, I don't know, better because students are already doing a fantastic job. And I think obviously it's nice to have someone there, and it's also kind of confusing right now. Are they going to be there like in person all the time? And well, like during their work hours, obviously not all the time. And I think students just need more of the structural advice and that institutional knowledge rather than the cultural, especially since this is one position advising different like ethnicities and different cultures. It just seems really, really problematic to have like, I don't know, one person be in charge of all of that.
Thank you, Vanessa.
Okay, is that 3 minutes for Q&A? Okay, we'll just take one more question. Holly, I know your hand's raised, but I think I'm gonna have you speak during executive director's report. And we're also gonna be, for context, we're gonna be, I know Sean is planning on speaking about this during the executive director's report, and then also invited Lily here to speak when we're actually talking about the job description. So there will be more context provided then as well. But yeah, Senator Kong.
Well, thank you so much for being here, President. So you said that there's too many like the minority group or minority VCUs who assign under one advisor. Would you say that the college staff should hire more advisors for the groups, or like, what would your take be?
Well, if we had infinite money, sure, but we don't. And I think like we already have so many resources on campus that we should utilize as AS actually build bridges for it. Cause a lot of like EOP, they have their own student staff too. That's like bridging a gap between AS and EOP members. And a lot of, there's professors too, like those are people that should be advising students too. And they do oftentimes during office hours. And I think like that's why I'm saying like when we focus on hiring for AS, it should be like solely like helping AS structure like and the finance, because that's not something the professors can say like, oh, you can do this, you can submit a requisition this way. Like, that's what I kind of mean, and I hope that's like what your guys' priorities are too, when you guys are looking at these job descriptions.
Okay, any more questions? Okay,
Okay.
I'm just gonna have Senator Nguyen speak, and then I think time's up for Q&A. So yeah, Senator Nguyen.
Yeah, thank you for coming in and talking about the flaws that you mentioned in the job description. I kind of wanted to ask, like, just for your guidance, because you have so much experience in Senate, just like moving forward. So essentially, would you just recommend us like only accepting the job description if it's changed from like hybrid to in-person? Or would you recommend like having, I guess, a more definite solution, which we would, I guess, promote the more resources that you kind of like mentioned previously? Because you said there are a lot of resources on campus. So would you recommend that we kind of go about that route instead of like promoting, I guess, this new advisor that would be established?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys really believe that this role should exist in AS, I would definitely advise you guys to not vote on it until it's changed to like fully in person, as it mentions in the job description that they will maintain a really present. Well, I'm sorry, I don't have the word right now. Like just they'll just be here all the time, basically. But I personally think like we should utilize other resources, especially since we don't have that much money. We need to like kind of get our priorities straight.
Thank you. Okay, great. Thank you so much for coming, guys. Okay, anyone else for public forum?
Would I be able to continue my
Typically we have people for public forum go once. I'm gonna have a review first, then you can add additional details afterwards. Yeah. Please come. You heard the speaking agreement?
Yes.
Okay, lovely. If you could just tell us your first and last name.
Hello, my name is Maya Jackson. I use she, her pronouns. I was SCORE's co-chair this current year of my graduates. I'm done. I came here to talk about the importance of a student liaison, not students. Importance of an actual advisor. I was able to have an advisor my former year with Marisela as BWHC, and having an advisor in person is way better than having an advisor online. This current year we had an advisor named Marissa. I was able to talk to her on Zoom, but she was also off leave. Besides the new AS systems like the Microx and all the new stuff we're doing, it was just a hard transition process. As well as for my advisor, I found out that she was originally from Berkeley and came here like UCSB system new, so she was also learning as well. So it's hard to learn when you have someone else learning. So she was like, we're learning together. And I was like, okay, yay. But in the aspect of learning together, we made a lot of mistakes this year. So it's important that not only we have faculty who know the system very well, but just that we have actual support with who to go to. I know briefly, even Chris, like contract guy, was our advisor, and I was interested because he was the contract guy. So he was like, I can help you as much as I can. But it was just fun to find that. I feel like most people in AS would know that I'm always in the office or ignoring them, like definitely Brian from finance, because I was always talking to him. But the concept of like, as students of color, definitely in groups that are catered towards students of color or trying to take care of those groups, it's really hard to not only go out there and make those steps and efforts, but when you don't have advisors, you literally do it all on your own. And not only are you representing like the people on your board, you're trying to help groups out. So with SCORE with funding, it was just hard to fund groups who also don't. And a lot of people go to SCORE as well as they went to BWHC when I was running that as well. So it's important that we have access to funding, access to that. I know in BWHC's contract for a long time ago, they had the director of AS be their person who helps them. I'm not saying you have to put that in law because I don't know how that worked in the first place. But it's just really important that we have someone on campus, even if they're like our second person we go to just make sure we have that communication. Because it's true that on this campus especially, that students of color organizations can kind of get pushed under them. I mean, it's 5 to 4% of Black students at this university, and it's easy to forget because you might not see or the events might not seem important. But to those people in those organizations, and even for people passing by, it's important. The Black Beat Expo, it's people who aren't Black all the time for free America because it's important. So I'm just saying, an advisor that sees us and represents us is important. I also thought it was a little strange that we had an advisor for one advisor to take care of all the people of color groups or other groups, but if it was multiple advisors or anyone to help them. And I know student liaisons are important. I was student liaison briefly. I really do like that position, so hopefully we can see in the future. But that's just my 2 cents as a former co-chair. And I have faith in the Senate, even though AS has done bad in the past. I do believe there's always time for the future and that could change. So that is it. Thank you. our questions.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate the input and for you speaking on the floor. Senators, any questions? Senator Simonian?
Yeah, thank you for coming. So I definitely, sorry, I definitely sympathize with everything you're saying about the need for advisorship. And I definitely agree with you that if we're to do this, it has to be. What I was hoping you could clarify is, Vanessa was just talking about how the job description as it stands right now, as we are gonna be considering it tonight, really only talks about this advisor being for events and special projects and stuff like that. You say that's the bulk of what you guys need advice and help with, or is it more the infrastructure, finance, microwaves side of it?
It's gonna be all of that. I know last year, at BWHC and then sport briefly, we had problems with our minutes. I don't know if you guys were on board at the time, but we had problems with our minutes. Like Senate would keep sending it back, like you're doing your minutes wrong. So we actually have to have someone in person to help us. And then when Marcella was our advisor in BWHC, she would come to all of our meetings to make sure we're actually processing and doing this, right? So we're doing the chain of command right, as well as we're passing minutes. I think one meeting, we were able to do like a we don't vote on record kind of thing, and then we were back on record, so we went on and off record, and for public forum and stuff, we did it the correct way. So when we do have an advisor, we are able to flow better to the system instead of being corrected. Right.
But I asked it, clarify that.
It's
So just to clarify, so it does sound like a big chunk of how you guys need these. Okay, thank you.
Senator Wong. Thank you so much for coming here. So basically I'm gonna read like a part of the job description, and then I want you to like kind of like tell me your opinion on this if you like kind of like if you think it's good enough. But anyways, on the job description, there's basically a part about the financial and administrative oversight, and it says that the advisor will have and take fiscal responsibility for assigned advocacy and equity VCUs, ensuring strict compliance with university and AS financial regulations, maintains direct responsibility for overseeing, monitoring, and auditing the annual operating budgets established by the assigned student committees to guarantee absolute fiscal accountability and prevent the duplication of programmatic expenses. And there's a lot more after that. But I was just like kind of wondering, like, do you think since this is in the job description, do you think it would be acceptable to have an advisor since it seems like they would actually be, helping out with the structural problems?
Yes, question for you. Aren't they supposed to be doing that now? Isn't like no. I like, isn't it like a part of the requisition that they have like a signer of the advisor there? So aren't they also supposed to be correcting the minutes before it even gets to AS requisitions? And I mean, this is when we have paper form. I know my process is different or whatever. But like when we have paper form, weren't they supposed to be signing off as well to like make sure that everything was okay before we send it off?
time. Senator Wong.
Yeah, I do see like that being like a really great point. And I think that kind of ties into that greater accountability point with like having an in-person advisor. So like if we ensure there's an in-person advisor plus like, this being in the legal code, do you think that would be enough to hopefully like the best we can do to ensure that this keeps it right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, I think it's all the time for questions. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, also just a clarifying points about the job description. I will put the updated one on here, but the hybrid was a typo, but this position will be fully in person. Okay, anyone else for the public forum?
Is there, sorry, you're on the first.
That's okay. That's a go soon, so I'm just gonna have you go for chancellor's representative, if that's okay.
I'm definitely a chancellor's representative, no matter, anytime.
Okay, I'm gonna have a maximum.
I sent you those emails, and that, I don't know that I made it clear the first time, but during our first funding request, we presented only one vote and we were asked for a second. During a meeting that would not happen, so we were instructed to come here to try and get that funding to a vote for renewal, so.
Okay, so yeah, sounds good. I'm gonna forward this to the Senate, so senators, check your Senate email in a sec. And then just to clarify, you attempted to go to two finance committee meetings and
Yes.
then
Yeah.
they were,
The first one I wasn't in attendance, so I can speak to the reason for that one. I know we just got a new treasurer, so they are learning how these kinds of things work. The second one, our editor in chief went, knowing how everything worked and was asked for a second vote, so that would be this one, or this one.
okay, and then could you clarify for the Senate, the amount again? I know you sent it to me in an email.
Yes, let me pull that up, so I don't show. From AS Publications, it would have been $446.60. And from AS Printer. $888.89 for a different kind of fine than on regular colored paper with staples instead of on. Kind of what we usually do in the proper for the same amount.
Okay, and then you already paid them or?
No, we were hoping to complete on money for this week. We're not good.
Okay, great. Senators, any questions? Okay, lovely. We'll make sure that gets addressed in section G3 and then you'll receive an email from one of us.
Alright, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Would I be able to be put on that email as well as my editor in chief? I know there's.
Yes, do you have the emails? I
Yes.
have your email and then you want to
My
send me
email?
any additional contact.
Yes, okay, I'll send you an
Yes.
additional contact. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you for coming. Okay, anyone else for public forum? Okay. Great, we'll move on to C, external reports. C1, Chancellor's Representative, Dean Alkane.
Yes. How's it going, folks?
Is 5 minutes okay for you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, lovely,
Yes.
thank you.
So hi, folks. Welcome to Sarah. I serve as the Dean of Students. I use he and pronouns. I just came to say hello and to witness democracy at work. I like to see that every once in a while. I just want to say just thank you for the work that you're going to do. Over the years, I've had wonderful connections and relationships with senators and the work that they do as they connect to the initiatives that we have going on in the Dean of Students office. So if I could be of support in any way, shape, or form to anything that you're doing, please do not hesitate to reach out. Additionally, just please remember your students too. I keep on trying to remind senators of that. Y'all are doing so much. So if I can support you in your student identity as well, your student leader identity, please let me know. And then a little bit about the couple initiatives that I'll be working on in the coming year. I'm big into restorative practice and the restorative justice program here on campus, which differs from the one in Isla Vista. And then also interfaith programming. We just opened a reflection room. And then we're doing some regional inreach around identities and work with student identities to really engage in having folks already feel a connectivity to maybe where they're from. Let's see, the San Fernando Valley or some other spaces like that. And they want to they have that belonging here already. How can we really connect people together to have that here? And so I want to make sure I say those pieces and just eternally grateful for your leadership here on campus. And that is all.
Great, thanks so much. Will you take any questions?
Absolutely. Anything y'all want to hit?
Okay, any questions for Dean Alkane? Senator Nguyen?
Thank you so much for coming. I had a question on what specific projects or programs you're kind of like looking into establishing and kind of implementing within the school for like next school year,
Yes.
and like how we as a Senate can help with that.
Absolutely. So some of the stuff you already co-worked with me on is we literally just opened a reflection room, right, on June 1st. And it's actually part of a larger interfaith initiative on campus. And we're connecting with multiple departments on working to really expand that identity and engage actively with it. And so senators have engaged with that and then continue as we do larger work in that area. Additionally, I've had a wonderful time connecting with AS representatives on how to humanize administration and increase communication. So a lot of my messaging and really sharing, both the beauty of this place and also the warts, and sitting with the reality of our experience here as community members has been part of that work. And then expanding out to work with different constituents who maybe feel marginalized and hold circles and dialogue on how we can co-create a better community. Yeah, absolutely.
Any questions?
All right.
Okay, lovely. Thank you
Good
so
luck
much
on
for
finals.
coming. Okay. Moving on, any ordinance for representatives, UCSB representative, GSA representative, USEN governance board representative, IVCSB representative. Okay, moving to section D, ASUCSB reports, administrative committee reports, board of commissions, unit, president's cabinet, executive director. Lovely. Hi, Sean. Will 5 minutes be good? Would you like time? Okay. Do you know how much we're trying to put?
Let's aim for 8.
Okay. I'd welcome a motion if I'm not able to. Senator DiCarlo.
Motion to extend speaker's time by 3 minutes.
There's a motion to extend the speaker's time by 3 minutes. Is there a second? Senator, Nadashaki? Motion's been moved and seconded. We're not in discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion pass. 8 minutes.
Alright, great, thank you. So I might as well start with staff positions that are on the subject basically already. The student government liaison position is deep in progress. It's making good progression towards final candidates or candidates. But I wanted to clear up some stuff regarding the position we were just talking about. So yeah, the hybrid thing is typo. It was based off of a copy from another job description, and it's impersonal. So just to quash 80% of what was talked about there. And also, as Senator brought up, like there is a section entirely about finance, but I don't want to minimize the event part of things because it's easy to say, well, the financial part is what people were coming and complaining about, but everything that leads up to that also means not oversight but advising. I mean, just using a literal word, because there are so many things where if it was headed off before it happened, it would save hundreds of hours of staff time. And student time too, by having to come in. Because things go wrong all the time, because you don't know that something is against policy, you don't know that maybe you've overdrawn the account, you don't know all these things. Like there's still all the back end of the finances. There's still 2 authorized signers, there's still multiple student staff that check all the requisitions. It comes to me or other managers to sign off at the end. It is a lengthy process. So that all is covered. It's just that initial thing where, can we even make this choice? Who do we talk to reserve this room? Can we get food for this event? People who've done events before, do they have experience with this? Oh, I know a shortcut that we can talk to this person, we can do this, have this collaboration, this co-sponsorship. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into advising. Every year I'm here, I'd like to learn a little bit more because typically before taking this position, I didn't really do a lot of advising. And my respect for the advisors grows, by the day because of all that they have to do. And sometimes the advisors don't go to meetings because they're at 9 p.m. in Isla Vista in someone's apartment. So there's that as a thing. So they have to join hybrid, or they can't because they're asleep, or they have children they're dealing with. But whatever it is, there's a lot of factors. And some groups do literally schedule the time when an advisor can't possibly be there, or it's on the weekend, or it's like flex time becomes difficult. So there's a lot of things like that. But this position would be in person. And the reason it has these groups in particular is because most of those groups were given to the executive director previously, but she had, I think I counted 14 groups that she devised, which is too many. That's because it was just groups were created. Some of the groups were new. BWHC was new, and it was just Jewish Commission was new. Some of them were just like here, and then there was no plan for who advised them. So it was just given to the director who didn't have the bandwidth. And as the executive director, I also don't have the bandwidth for that right now. And right now it's just kind of spread. And sometimes that works, sometimes temporarily. Sometimes it works where if that person does have the bandwidth, they can do it. And sometimes it doesn't. And they will exchange an email or two and that's it. And I want those groups to be supported. And BWHC came just 5 weeks ago and made their case, and the previous Senate was very supportive of that because they do need support. And SCORE, which also just came in, and there was the issue with overspending, but if they had an advisor who was closely advising them, then that also wouldn't have been an issue, right? Because there was a confusion about the MOU and how much was in your budget, and Mr. Lockett, like that kind of thing. So that's what an advisor does in part. And then all the million other things that an advisor does. Because when student groups come and they say, we've done this, a lot of that is supported by that status. So, we're not taking credit for any of that. It's just like, we want to make it smooth. We want to lower the entry into that. Like, maybe like, okay, that's you, so you can do your thing and the back end of things can be taken care of. So that's my spiel in regards to that. So, the job description, like I said, has that little that typo, but for the most part, it has the finance stuff, it has the planning stuff. Student affairs staff, other people can't be their advisors, it's not their job. And we can't ask other divisions of departments of student affairs are being cut. So we can't ask them to like, hey, can you also be an advisor for one of our groups? They're gonna laugh at us and then cry, but that's not fair to them. But we can, if we want to and need to, put faculty or other people as like secondary on there, that's great. I fully support that. So there's speaking, non-voting advisories as part of these groups, and we've done that before. Like that has been a thing. So just not, I don't think within the current groups, I don't think it's important. I don't know, went over quite a lot in that section. I don't know if you want me to get into the pubs publication thing now, or we can wait until it's on the agenda later.
We can wait until later.
Okay, great. That's a huge jump. I don't have to talk about elections that much. We had met and I've spoken with elections with Mike Miller and Suzanne Birkin and just everybody, talking about elections with everybody based off the 3-week election that we had. And we have a ton of ideas for how to make it better. And it's not just us two, like other UCs had issues with turnout. They don't extend it quite as much as we do, but they ran fast as we could. But I have like a laundry list, it's like 24 things long. So it varies all the way from little things like tweaking the formatting and direction of things that are on the ballot to, having a raffle that will give out a free bike if you vote, like not if you vote, everybody, but like you pick 2 people that we vote and do that, to constitutional amendments to make it easier to vote. So that's stuff that elections board will be talking about. So. Also speaking about SCORE, like those events happened. I think I wasn't here last week, so I missed that. Apologies, but those events happened, and it's later on the agenda, but those groups have to be paid essentially. Space, main office is going to be painted soon, so yay. Admin office is going to get new furniture soon, also yay. Storage, we're working out clearing out spaces so we have more storage for student groups, because we have so many of our groups that shut nothing. And so we're getting closer to having like real options for them. And I spoke about this in the previous Senate, and I don't know if it made its way to this one, but UCSB bought 410 State Street. I don't remember when people know this. So 410 State Street, formerly Staples, down close to the pump zone, large location of the Staples. I know it is nothing, and UCSB owns it. And they have a survey, just like a Google form, that's like, hey, what should we do with this? And I want to encourage you all to fill that out. I don't think we need a coordinated thing. I just think we should fill it out because we have ideas and we have some funding. And if we can have an anchor downtown, that would be great. So just give it some thought. I can send it. I can send it along, and so you can have the link. So it's still active. I just checked it. Let's see. And then, just some like purpose kind of thing. I just wanted to remind you all that, that this body advocates for your students. You're not just writing laws, you're advocating for the people you represent. And each person represents, more than 1,000 students. And so if I take your office hours and things seriously and advertise that to meet with people and see like, well, what are you thinking? What's your top 3 things that you care about right now that you would want to improve as when the students come in? I think it'll be really invaluable. And just also think about your conduct in this space. I'm not trying to chastise anybody or anything, because everyone that comes in here that speaks to staff is like are your peers, and it's just equal respect for everybody. There's no point. You don't get any points for one-upping somebody for coming in or like gotcha. Okay, great, congratulations. Because this whole thing is live streamed for posterity. So it's people can always go back and look at it. And the example I use sometimes is that I had a friend in high school, came to college, did something stupid in an email chain. We thought it was funny. It was not funny. And that was 25 plus years ago. And that was still on the top 10 Google results for his name. 25 years later. So just a thought.
Okay, good. Awesome. Any questions for our executive director, Senator Nguyen?
Thank you for being here, Sean. I had a question in regards to the new advisor position. So I know that there was a member of SCORE that came in earlier, and she was kind of talking about how she had a past member here that essentially came from Berkeley and switched here. So they kind of were both navigating the experience together. My question was, are there going to be certain qualifications for the hiring process in which maybe like there has to be the person who's hired for this new position has to be like an AS advisor for like a certain specific number of years, or I guess any other specific qualification that would allow the students within these BCUs to understand that the advisor that is going to be like looking after them is very experienced and knowledgeable and will be able to, I guess, help them on certain issues or questions that they have.
Yeah, so it'll be part of the hiring process is sussing out what experience people have and how so much of the hiring process is how adaptable are you? Right? Like that's what I look for. So just when you go in an interview, you know, in the future jobs, be coming across as like, I don't know that, but I can learn. I mean, I can't overstate how important that is. And so that would be that for this. The previous person they were mentioning, like, was given this not as a permanent thing, but as a, well, you have your existing job and this group needs an advisor, can you do it? And I was asked. I had never like, hey, Brett, guess what? Now you're doing this. I was like, hey, could you do this? And they agreed. And it didn't work out necessarily for that arrangement. But it would be whether or not they were an AS advisor or they advise students, like that's going to be one of the big questions is like, what's your experience with students? And specifically, you know, college students, and have you worked in student government before? And there's going to be a lot of that kind of stuff. So, and we'll advertise this. This has been requested and is a good idea to the rest of the division and campus, because I think there's people within the division of student affairs that would like to apply for the position. So.
Thank you, Sean. Senator DeCarlo?
Yeah, thank you again for coming here talking. I'm actually gonna pivot off of that onto the other point you were speaking about. If you had it your way, what would you do with 410 State Street?
Oh, so many things. Because it is gigantic. Like it is a very, very large space. So we have to come up with a lot of ideas. So I don't know, I always like having like a business as like a little bit of an anchor for things like that too. So whether that is I liked when Kaja downtown it was a coffee shop and then it became like a bar after hours or something like that. You could have something that is not that downtown is for coffee shops, but you could have something like that where that provides employment, right? Provides discounted, you know, beverages and things like that to even if you're a student, you have a student ID, it's $2 off. I don't know. And then that transforms into later at night into a venue. Right, so you have a venue for bands and things like that too, because KCSD was very interested in that. And I know, I think Program Board and all the people who put events up here, like if we could have an event that's not just in one of our rooms here or in Astoria or like whatever, but it has downtown, that's very different kind of cool expansion of things. So something that earns a little bit of money, something that provides some employment, something that provides entertainment, and then if we have like a co-working space so that people have a free third space. So it's not that like, well, you got to go to one of the coffee shops. Okay, is it open? Okay, are you paying your rent for the coffee shop? Have you gotten, you know, do you move that cappuccino at 4 p.m.? That kind of thing. I think all of those plus, I mean, there's a million other things, but like that's off the top.
Senator Giuseppe?
It was always becoming Sean. Beyond the hybrid part of this division, which I'm happy to be sorted out, one of my other concerns, while still recognizing the need for these groups to receive extra advising, given the lack thereof at the moment, is I'm not entirely sold on the idea of moving all these VCs that are supposed to be for marginalized populations into one advisor. So I just wanted to ask you, when you guys came up with this idea, did this happen with consultation with those VCUs that are going to be under the purview of this advisor, or was it just an internal organizational idea?
This was President Leanne, and that's good idea. Like to begin, like this didn't come from staff position. So the former president, had this idea, and also these groups were under supported, so we put them together. I mean, that was kind of the extent of it. There are other groups that are in attached positions that are currently empty also still, and we're also looking at like, well, how are some groups organized when maybe they don't belong where they are? Like COC. COC could be a lot of things. Does it belong where it is? Maybe, maybe not. The new group, that's a combination of the Strategic Operations Office, controllers, and what's the third? like that's 3 different areas. So who advises that? Right? So it didn't make as much sense to have just, hey, what's left over and then here we go here. It was like, well, what groups have expressed some of that? And I believe all of these groups have expressed that, or that we at staff have observed that they are under supported. That is just kind of like I said, most of them were with Marcella. Just like, okay, they're there, but they need to have a place. And we put them together with, we hire someone who's just a pure advisor. Sometimes the groups they get are related, sometimes they aren't. And so we just needed this person as an advisor, that's what they're good at. And I think if they're a good advisor, they can adapt to things and be valuable to different groups, different like communities needs.
Okay, lovely. Any more questions, Sean? Senator Harlan?
Yeah, and just bring up an interesting point that this staff position was proposed by the previous administration. Have you reached out to like the new president, President EJ Brad, for his thoughts on this? I haven't had the time to speak with him on it. I was just curious if you had what he thought on it.
I haven't not had the opportunity to reach out to him about that. When Leanne reached out, we thought that was interesting, and then when the previous Senate decided not to move forward with the IB2 caseworker position, that created an opportunity for this. Because that would have been also a pure advisor, but a much more narrow one. So this just made more sense. When that popped up, I'm like, oh, of course, like, yeah, because that'll support these 4 or 5 groups, and then those groups are the ones that have come to us repeatedly and come to the Senate, yeah. But yeah, I am curious what you think.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, any more questions for Sean? Okay, lovely. Thanks, as always, Sean, for your report.
I don't know if Holly has a question for me or she has a statement.
Okay, yes. Holly, do you have a question or do you have a report you'd like to give?
Yeah, no, I just raised my hand so I could give a report. Is that okay?
Yes. Is 5 minutes enough?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, great. You can start.
Yeah, thank you all. So yeah, I'd raised my hand earlier to actually answer the question about the position, but since it's already been answered, I won't talk more about that unless you have more questions. But I just wanted to share that I'm in the middle of planning training dates and times for summer training for you all. So if you all could respond to me on Slack or send me an email, or if you all just want to like share now sort of the general times you'd be available over the summer. I'm going to be facilitating some workshops for you related to the legal code, writing legislation. We're going to invite Lily to do like a all about personnel training. We're going to talk about shared governance and student fee elections and all of that. So we have some good topics planned for you all. So if you have any suggestions for topics that you would like to see, please let myself and Vicky know. And I would love to hear back from you all some availability for your time this summer so we don't pick something that no one is available for. But yeah, I can also take questions. Oh, and friendly reminder, I will be on campus sometime this summer for our staff and managers retreats if you all would like to connect and meet, and then I'll be in person, of course, for AS1. So if you will be in attendance for AS1, that's going to be taking place the 22nd and 23rd of September. I would love to meet you all there and hope that you can attend. So if anyone is interested in being a part of that planning committee or anything like that, please let me know. But I would love to meet you all this summer during those times that I'm on campus, and those will be announced once we have further planning. But yes, takeaway, please send me your availability for training this summer and any suggestions for topics, and I can take questions.
Okay, great. Thank you, Holly. Anyone have questions for Holly? Senator Khan?
Ollie, thank you so much for being here. I think I saw the email said it's during the summer, either morning or afternoon. Do you have any specific days where we can like just follow the ability?
Yeah, so currently the AS Fundamental series is going to be taking place between July 1st and the beginning of August. I think the last date is August 9th. So I'm thinking that that might be a good time for you all as well, sort of in that July-August period. It'll give you sort of a bit of a transition break post-graduation, and then we can have about 5 or 6 different topics over the summer, and then we'll have some more in AS1. So we'll do like conflict resolution training. There'll be a breakout session for you all on like communicating as a public official. We have some Lisa from our comms team. She does like a PR type training, so we'll have some of those. But I was thinking for specifically summer, like between the beginning of July to maybe the beginning to end of August. So we can keep on the same schedule for the fundamental series that's taking place Wednesday morning. So we could either do the opposing Wednesday morning, Wednesday afternoons, but I don't want to pick something without seeing when you all are available. So if you all are thinking that July and August is a good time period, then I can pick some times during that period.
Senator Nguyen.
Hi Holly, thank you so much. I had a question about, did you want us to send us our schedule through email to you? Slack?
Email or Slack is fine, whichever you prefer.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? Senator Khan?
Yeah, I just want to ask a follow-up question of how much time for like each tree to spend out? What's the time that it is?
Yeah, so I think an hour is going to be the sweet spot for the amount of time. I think if we do anything less, it's probably not enough time to cover all the questions. But I do think that once we get into hour-and-a-half long sessions, it's a little bit more of a time commitment. So if there's a topic you want us to go more in depth on, I'd be happy to extend the time. But I'm thinking about an hour. And then also don't feel any pressure to attend all of them because they're going to be hosted on Zoom because I know everybody's going to be at a different place over the summer. So we'll record them and then post the recording and the transcript and any of the presentation materials on the website. So if you aren't able to attend one, you can catch up through the materials that way. But I'm thinking about an hour unless you all have any objections or requests for anything longer.
Senator Nguyen.
Yeah, I have another question. Thank you, Polly. If we're unable to make the trainings and then they'll be posted afterwards for us to watch, is there also going to be a follow-up like quiz that we'll have to take that's like required as like our position?
Yeah, no, so I guess I can give us a short, quick history on the history of AS trainings just to back up why I will say no, that it's not required. Is that prior to 2019, there didn't used to be association-wide training. BCUs would do their own sort of onboarding and training, and then the Senate advisors would do training specifically for the Senate. And then in 2020, there was legislation passed that had staff schedule those same trainings for everyone. So all the BCUs and all the senators attended the same training. They were all required for honoraria. And that's where the sort of like quiz model came in. And then also around that time, I'd have to check the exact year, that responsibility shifted from staff to students. The Senate decided to create what was known as the Rules and Administration Committee. It was a subcommittee out of Senate. And that committee wound up never fully convening. There was some work done out of that committee by former Senator Eric Carlson, but there weren't any training scheduled out of that. So essentially what I have done with the support of Sean and Lily and my supervisor, Marissa, is that I've created what I would call a staff initiated project. So it's something that I've noticed and heard feedback from students that they think that this training would help them in their position. And I'm offering it like as a voluntary, like because I think it would be helpful sort of thing. But it's not necessarily required of your positions. Like it's not going to impact your honoraria or your participation in the Senate. It's just something that I think would be helpful to kind of fill the gap in between the trainings that are required of you and sort of what's been offered and available. So we won't have any quizzes or anything that is required because there's not really a legal structure for that. But it's intended mostly to be helpful in terms of onboarding for your position and feeling like you have the resources and the skills to develop that you feel more comfortable in the position.
Thanks, Holly. Just a clarification on that. Actually, in legal code, Senate first-term senators are required to do all Senate training sessions. So there's a few that are listed in legal code. And then if I think some are missed, then those might be factored into honoraria or absences, but I will be discussing that with Kelly and like we'll make that clear for sure. But yeah, just to clarify that it is within legal code specifically for senators. But yeah, thank you, Holly. Any more questions? Okay, great. Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Since we have Atticus here, I think we should do the swearing in now. I don't know if there's a specific, yeah, Senator Rowe.
I motion to excuse Senator Dolly for academic and obligations and sickness.
Yeah, we'll have to move into excused absences first. Are you okay if we do the swearing in real quick, just to get form? Okay, lovely. I don't think there's a section for that. We're just gonna say action item. Okay. If there's no objections, we're gonna move into section G1, immediate consideration. Okay, awesome. We're just gonna write the swearing in of Senator. So, Senator Gonzalez, yes, swearing in Senator. Atticus, are you here?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay, lovely. Do you mind turning on your camera for do your swearing in? Okay, lovely. Holly, could you? Oh, she's ready. Okay, great. Atticus, you're just gonna repeat after me. You can like put your right hand on something in your room if you'd like, but no worries. And yeah, you just have to repeat after me. Does that sound good to you?
Yeah, I know.
Great. Yeah, you can. I like forget which hand it is, but like one hand on something and the other hand like raised. Okay, lovely. Okay, I, your name, or yeah, hereby affirm
I, Atticus Gonzalez, hereby affirm
that I will fulfill the duties of
that I will fulfill the duties of
the Letters and Science Senator
the Letters and Science Senator
for the 2026 to 2027 academic year,
for the 2026 to 2027 academic year,
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
I will seek to facilitate
I will seek to facilitate
the associated students
the associated students
and the university community
at university community
in a manner that is consistent with
what was that part?
in a manner that is consistent with
In a manner that is consistent with
the ideals of an academic community.
the ideals of an academic community.
Okay, great. You're officially a senator now. Congratulations.
Wow, thanks guys.
Okay, awesome. We will move now into A2 excused absences. The floor is open. Senator Cullen.
Yeah, motion to excuse Senator Abdali for academic obligations and sickness. Oh, yeah, for the duration of this.
Or did you say academic obligations?
Sickness, yeah.
Sickness. Okay, there's been a motion to excuse Senator Abdali for the duration of the meeting due to academic obligations and sickness. Is there a second? Senator Nakashagi? There's been a motion and second. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. We'll move back into ACC's few reports. D6. Any advisors reports? None. Executive officers reports? Ashley, would you like to come up?
Hi guys, I'm here again. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to sort out the funding request issue, so I'm back here with another funding request. But a little brief overview as to what was happening last week. So basically we have two accounts, the USSA account and the EDPSA account. Currently the USSA account is at 0. We were originally in debt, but that got zeroed out. However, after that happened, we kept on approving funding requests. The previous leadership kept on approving funding requests through the account that is already at 0. So now we're even more in debt, and we have promised student orgs money that we do not have, which is why I'm trying to get this all sorted out before the end of the year and not have to carry this financial burden throughout the next year. I did send over the slides. It is the same thing as last week, except for there's a new case that came up, and it's a $7,000 funding request from the Thriving Initiative. This actually populated in my inbox a couple days ago. It was a funding request from 2 years ago, and they still haven't received their money. And yeah, so I'm trying to reconcile that too, along with all these other funding requests. One update that I do want to communicate with you guys is that I did follow up with all the orgs that we promised funding to, and only one responded back. So there's kind of this case where it's like, yes, I don't want to be over asking. We did promise a total, on the last slide it says a total of $20,575, but if we only count the orgs that are actively reaching out back to me, it would just be that 5,000. Oh wait, I'm sorry. 5,700. I'm sorry, never mind. 5,135 for CLG for the Mariachi band, and then also the $7,000 from the Thriving Initiative. So I was talking with Vicky. I think the best thing that we can do is that I'm asking for the 12,575 for the most pressing funding request, and then a cap of 20,575 for the other orgs that I promised, but they did not get back to me. So I don't think those are as high priority. I may have to redo my numbers, I'm so sorry. Any questions? Is there anything that I did not make clear?
Yeah, senators, any questions for UBPSation? Okay, awesome, and then to the final number is $20,575, like up to.
Up to that much, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
And then this would be to the EBPSA's office?
Yes.
And then do you have your account number?
Yes, it's 492, I believe. Yeah, please, yes.
Okay, awesome, thank you so much, Shannon.
Okay, is there anything else I needed to do, or?
No, we'll be covering that in section G3 final challenge.
Sure, so thank you so much. Have a good rest of your meeting.
Yes, thank you, Jasmine. Okay, executive reports. I might have one. Okay. Hello guys. Summer we'll be doing training. We will be having summer Senate meetings. I'm proposing keeping them Wednesdays at 6:30. We could do earlier. I just know people have like internships, jobs. That's a sad kind of face that you're making at me. But we can totally adjust the times. But I'm thinking we keep it Wednesday. Probably we have to be after 5 just to like factor in for like internships, hanging out, you know. So and like hopefully summer meetings will be short, and then obviously we'll be doing training throughout the summer, and then I'm anticipating our first Senate meeting will be in July. I'm sure all the senators present have are in the Slack and have active AS emails, so just make sure you guys are on that because I will be sending emails to that, so it's really important that you're checking that throughout the summer. And I think that's all I have for me right now. Yes. Okay, any questions for me? Okay, awesome. D9, administrative reports. See none. D10, Senate reports. Okay, awesome. We'll move into section E, new business. We have the Budget Cycle Reform Act of 2026. Would the author like to speak on it?
Yeah, thank you. This should be brief. There's not much to this. I was me and if we were approached by David, who is one who runs the finance and budget side of AS, basically just asking us to make sure that parts of the legal code that to like describe what the budget timeline is, and what has to happen when, making sure that those things are updated. Basically, the way we've been doing our budget cycle for the past couple of years, the de facto deadlines and timeline is not aligned with what legal code requires. Everything I think is about a week ahead of what legal code says it's supposed to be. And because legal code, is supposed to be a living document that very clearly expresses what's going on in this association, we think it's very important that it gets updated to show what the actual reality is. It's very straightforward. A lot of it is just moving stuff from like usually 5 or spring words we do 4. But yeah, that's all.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Senator Gismonia. Are there any questions for him? Okay, I'd welcome, the floor is open and welcome any motions. You can refer this to a committee if you'd like, probably the best course of business. Senator Harley,
I move that the bill Budget Cycle Restructuring Act of 2026 be referred to the Finance Committee.
move. Okay, there's been a motion to refer the budget cycle format of 2026 to the Finance Committee. Is there a second? Senator Simonian? The motion has been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Real quick for context, Finance Committee typically like during the year is like super busy with like all their funding requests, so their meetings are like 5 to 6 hours long. So like while we can refer legislation to them, we prefer to refer like legislation to other committees too. But this one's a good one to refer to finance.
Okay.
Yeah, but for context, but this one was a good one.
Okay.
Okay. Any other motions? Senator Kong?
I move to add a bill to update Portal Center and legal code
To the agenda.
to the agenda.
There's been a move to add the Pardall Center legal code. Sorry, let me add this. Second. Okay. There's been a move to add a bill to update Pardall Center legal code to the agenda. Is there a second? Senator DeCrolin?
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All of those opposed? Okay, the motion passed. The bill is now on the agenda. Okay, we are now on to a bill to update Pardall Center legal code. Would the first like to speak on it?
Yeah, I was feeling it. So it was per, so you can see in the bill that, through the amendments as well. That the Pardall Center Governance Board would like to add one extra treasurer seat, and to ensure and continuing to expand like their programming and hours. And of course, they said that it's extremely beneficial for them and to expanding and planning for the purchase Pardall Center in the future, potentially. And they voted to have of course, one extra treasurer, and then it will comes out from their budget as well. So we will talk about the bill soon during the summer, but I would like to refer it to this.
Okay, great. Any questions for our author? Okay, the floor is open. Senator Harlan?
Maybe I'm just skimming through this and I'm not reading it correctly, but should it say that being enacted legislation to the 77th Senate? Or it is citizens? On the bottom of page 1.
Yeah, I think he's talking about right here, as far as we know.
Yeah, sorry.
Senator Kong?
Yeah, so I will like talk to the former senator. It was per former senator request in COVA. I will talk about I'll talk to her related to this issue, and then potentially we'll straight through and then to see if there is a fix, and we will talk deeper about it too as well.
Senator Nottershine?
I have a questions. I think that as much, but you said that it was coming out of their budget, but there's a fiscal impact of $9 Is that for us?
Meetings?
No, on the bill, there's a fiscal impact. Which you said is coming out.
Senator Kong?
I believe you scroll to the bottom one, page 1. You will see the meeting minutes. I think you can see more detail about whether they you will come up from their budget, and then yeah, I see their meeting minutes. So the fiscal impact will come out from them. So it's not within 2 hours in budget.
To address your question, like since like the Senate is the one that approves like all the money to all the groups, so it's technically like student fees. So it's just saying like since they're adding a new position, so we usually do like if there's any fiscal impact, even though it's coming from their budget, it's still like student fees that we approve. So this would be $900 more. Yes,
I think
yes. Any more questions for our author, or the floor is open? Senator Hall?
Hey, thank you so much for bringing this here. I just wanted to like note like that, like part on the top that I highlighted. That would probably have to be changed, but it could just be done in committee. So I was wondering, like if your preference is that we push this through and just make it better in committee, so that this treasurer can be hired, or do you think you would want to change it and then put it back on the agenda during the session?
Senator Hall?
So maybe I would prefer, because this is not very urgent, so maybe I would prefer like to refer to our committee first, and then I will like have a communication between from senators and then meet. So we can see further about that, and then probably sometime soon during the meeting we'll with the message.
Okay, any more questions? The floor is also open. Senator Hall?
I move to refer a bill to update Portal Center legal code to the ES committee.
There's been a motion to refer a bill to update Portal Center legal code to liaison committees. Or second, Senator Giuliani?
Sure.
The motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, awesome. Any new business? Okay, great. Consent calendar, nothing there. Now we're in section G, action items, G1, immediate consideration. We did swear in Senator Gonzalez, congrats. Next, we have the job description for the AS advisor for student advocacy, equity, and well-being. I'm gonna, if there's no objections, I'm gonna invite Lily to come up and speak once on this, and then we can invite her back and any questions. But yes. Hi, Lily, welcome. If you could inform all of us about what this position and job description was.
Yes. So, this job description, we wanted to ask questions. I know we've been going back and forth about it. So, do you have any questions, or what would you like me to, go with first? Yes.
If you could just give maybe like a rundown of each section, that would be good. Yeah.
Yeah, I can do it. Okay, so this section has, let's start with advising and advocacy. So this will serve as a primary advisor for the student centered advising. So it would be everything from the well-being boards, commissions. So specifically WHC, RAISES, SCORE, and CODE. The advisor would take the responsibility of being having visible for the presence of the students. It is definitely an in-person job. I swear, it's my bad, my typo, didn't cause a kerfuffle on that. This person is also going to maintain a direct oversight and complex campus regulations, AS legal agreements, university policies, and ensure that students are fully understanding about the operational parameters of their organization. Along with working very closely with other UC departments and fostering cross-campus relationships and partnerships. So onboarding and strategic planning, I think this is the one piece where a lot of the new orgs or all orgs don't have a sense of what associated students is, or what as a DC are they required to do when they come in, right? So this would be establishing a foundation of the administration integration of all the assigned boards, right? So making sure that the board continues year after year, right? So it would be making sure that they convene after each year. They serve as the it's an annual onboarding retreat. So they'll do onboarding retreats at the start of each academic year, as well as goals and baselines and operational. So like teaching the boards, the co-chairs, like how to function as an advisor, as a co-chair, and how they can just run or lead their board. So the advisor just sits back and like is there for the board, but in the very beginning, educates them and teaches them like what
and how to plan for the beginning or for the year. So, which is the responsibility of training the student leaders in the foundational meeting mechanics, including efficiency in conducting meetings, how to utilize the Robert's rules of orders when necessary, and how to record official meeting minutes. It's just something that I've seen in my personal experience as the advisor. Not knowing how to help them with their minutes, but as soon as I learned, I realized what errors there were, and I was able to mediate. Okay. And the next one is a financial and administrative oversight. And I think this is one thing that we were going back and forth. So it's the fiscal responsibility for the assigned advocacy in the unit to ensure the strict compliance of AS and financials. Right, it maintains, so the advisor is going to directly oversee, monitor, and audit the annual operating budgets and the assigned student plans. So it's not like they're going to do the budget for them, they're just going to ensure that it's done. It's ensuring that rollovers are completed, so next year it's successful. They will also be responsible for securing the official department travel and entertainment card. So if there are events, then the students don't pay out of pocket, then there's a travel and entertainment card that they utilize. And the advisors will then also be responsible for uploading that into Microarray. And there's also a second portion that we have to do on campus. That's all the advisor's responsibility. So the students just need to focus on their events, and the advisors would focus on the administration portions of it. And then there's including the tracking their expenditures and supporting them in all of that. And then there's the proactive leadership, development, and conflict resolution. So this is something that is written in most of the advisory job descriptions. So I added this, but it's to facilitate the workshops, seminars, and trainings to build the practical leadership, public speaking, and interpersonal communications. And it employs a plan not to react. So it's identifying the potential organizational frictions or when members have disagreements, and an advisor is to immediately to de-escalate issues, right? To understand what it could potentially be and before it becomes a problem and those are boundaries that are identified by student leaders that fail to follow established guidelines. The advisor also would be there to provide the students' needs, guidance, as well as long-term, short-term goals. Overall health and morale of the BC environment is also really important for the advisor to do. And supporting them through their experiences. As staff, we're all trained about when students have stressful situations, if something happens, where to lead them, where to go, and be that support or safe space. And one thing I also had added, which is something new, but the responsibility of the advisor to reach out or respond back within that 24 to 48 hour window that could be changed. It's something that added because sports had mentioned they don't hear back. So that's something that was requested. And yeah, that pretty much sums it up. Of course, maintaining their assessing their student needs. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you so much, Lily. Any questions for Lily? Senator Chisamani?
Thank you, Lily. I am a bit confused. Sounds like you said that the goal of this advisor was purely like admin stuff. You said at some point, maybe I misheard you, that the goal was just for the advisor to be able to do like the logistical administrative stuff and let the students handle events. Did I?
Maybe I didn't explain that correctly. Like, it's the students who come up with their events, they're planning, right? And we, as the advisors, are there to support them with what they need for that. So for example, if there is an artist that's coming and the contract hasn't been written yet and they need to get paid, I, as the advisor, would like to chime in and be like, we need to get this, or else the person is not going to come in. And if they don't get paid, and then we're going to be on the phone until 7:45 saying, please come, I swear we're going to pay you. Right? So that's where the advisor steps in and interjects and says, let's get this done before it's too late, if we don't have a problem.
That makes sense.
Any other questions for Lily? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ellen. Awesome. Okay, so the floor is open if so if someone would like to make a motion. Senator Sweaty?
Oh, can we have a discussion?
Yeah, motion, discussion, whatever.
I'm very conflicted on this, and I want to explain why. I do 100% believe I'm not the past couple of days. These groups absolutely can be advising. I think what I'm a little bit, I think what has been so off-putting for me, is the way we got to this point, the way we got to where we are right now voting on this position. And I want to give you guys a little bit of context. So I believe I said this last week. When we were having original difficulties with WHC in the last Senate, it wasn't just that the assigned advisor wasn't, was like overburdened or anything like that. According to the people from BWHC, I was not witness to any of this, but from what I have heard from what they said during public comments during the several week period last Senate when we were having these discussions, a lot of the problem was outright they were being ghosted. That's very, very serious. If that's true, that's not just them being this advisor being overburdened. I mean, at that point, if you strip away this position's title and its responsibilities, in any other circumstance, would the first course of action in a situation like that be to say, you know what, let's just make a brand new job and put $70,000 into that? I'm personally unhappy with the fact that I don't know what conversations have had with the president's office. There was nothing, from my understanding, no sort of conversation with the Senate on what steps are going to be taken to make sure this doesn't happen again. Now I do think that the fact that this is, and I'm very happy that we clarified this, that this is going to be an in-person position. I think that will hopefully reduce a lot of those problems. But the problem still remains. What checks and balances is the Senate gonna have if this new advisor is contentious? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the potential remedy for that is going to be, and that's what really concerns me about this. It's not the idea of an advisor. Obviously, these who can be advising. You would have to have not been paying attention to everything that has been going on this last year to not realize that. It's the context in which we've gotten to this point and me wanting to make sure we don't have the situation again. The other thing I am unhappy with is the way I feel like this proposal has been rushed through the Senate. As you all know, with legislation, it gets introduced, the primary sponsor gives a little speech on it, it goes to committee. What that means is that the Senate has to wait at least a week. It's at least 9 days in between it first appearing on the agenda and the earliest possible time that vote can be taken, assuming it goes to the Senate. I've seen none of that today. What I've witnessed is the last Senate, 76 Senate's last meeting, they asked for us to approve this with no finalized description. And then next week, which was now last week, they asked us to approve this with a description that had been written up, but was, in their words, not final. And then now we've had our hands on this description for a couple of hours. And we are being asked to approve a theoretically permanent staff position. I'm not blaming anyone, to be clear, because I understand that this is a new thing we're doing. I understand in previous years the Senate has not, even though it says in the Constitution they're supposed to, has not had been directly consulted a lot of the time with the creation of these positions, or at least it hasn't happened in a long time. But I do think it's unbecoming of the Senate to take action on such a big thing like this as quickly as we're doing this. But I honestly don't know. I'm very conflicted, as I said. I feel like this position is good and necessary, but I'm uneasy with what has gotten us to this point and making sure that we don't come back to this again. I'm very conflicted, and I
Senator Howard?
I'm gonna disagree with respectfully with a couple of things you said. Specifically talking about how the proposal was rushed. I don't think it's rushed considering the hiring process takes a couple months. And if we want to make sure that these groups are not left without an advisor for much longer to try and ensure that those errors don't happen again, it is something that we want to take care of quickly so that we can get those groups the help that they need. I disagree with your fear of a negligent candidate. I know we've heard Lily speak on the fact that there's a 6-month trial period. We were also amendable to starting off with part-time to ensure this is something. For those of, but the 6-month trial period was the main portion of this, where the new candidate would be able to be like very thoroughly inspected to make sure that they're doing a good job and not being negligent. I mean, that's not really our job to critique it. My understanding is our job is to make sure the job description is perfect so that people so we get the right person for the job. I thoroughly do believe that this position is necessary because, and even you heard the 2 speakers previously from the past Senate saying that, yeah, maybe one position isn't even enough for all these groups. I am more on that stance. Like, yes, it's good that we're getting one, but they might be overburdened. That's something we can come back to look for, to maybe tweak later, hey, maybe we can assist them with another position or something later on down the road. But right now, these errors I think will keep happening if we keep relying on other AS staff to step up into positions that they're not paid for to then handle and take responsibility and accountability for the actions of all these BCUs. I think this position is firmly, honestly, required to continue to move on so we don't end up in the same trouble that we ended up in last year.
Any more thoughts? Senator North?
Yeah, Senator Giovanni, I also, I do understand your concern about that, especially since this is an extra cost of 70,000 that we have to put down, and it's it does seem a little quick. However, I believe that by establishing this advisor, it's going to prevent more money from being, I guess, wasted or spent just because it's with this new advising and with this overseeing of this new position, I think that will prevent or that would actually allow the BCUs to be able to spend their expenditures more efficiently and more productively. And also the concern about if the advisor that's chosen is going to be I guess not up for that position. I know that Sean and Lily did mention that I guess the process for hiring, which I think will be pretty thorough, but maybe we can also consider some other outcomes. Maybe we can consider providing certain procedures, if the person that is chosen ends up not being the right choice, then maybe we can revoke their position and have someone that's a backup possibly for that position. I don't know, that's just an idea that I kind of thought of to propose, just so it's they're not left with the BCUs are not left with no advisor.
I'm gonna stick with the 2 speaking limit, if that's okay. For perspective, Senator Giuseppe.
Yeah, to be clear, I agree with what you guys have. Maybe this is just maybe a lot of my concerns just come from experiences I've had this past year. The one thing I want to say is so my understanding of the way labor law state works is once that probationary period is over, there isn't really any process for us to deal with an advisor in this case who isn't getting that decision. And that could be they perform perfectly fine for 6 months. And as soon as the period is over, we start having all these problems. And I'm just not sure how with that. I don't know. Maybe Sean has some suggestions since I think he knows this process a little bit better than I do. But I mean that is a serious drawback for me. And I also understand, again, I'm not blaming anyone because a lot of it is state law we don't really have control over. But it is a serious, it has been a serious concern for mine. And then also this, maybe since it's not in standing rules, we can make an exception for this specific position. I definitely think going forward, we need some sort of, we need some sort of thing in standing rules, saying new staff positions are treated like those. Maybe they even have to go through committees where they get back to it. I think for something of this scale, that's a pretty reasonable thing to ask for. Especially given, again, the fact that we had less than a day to review this and now we're leaving things to put it up to a vote. Just makes me uneasy. I again understand the importance of this position, I understand the importance of getting supervising, but these are the drawbacks I am feeling right now, and I just feel obligated to this all out. Maybe not even this position. Maybe we pass this today, and we keep all this in mind in the future. We make sure that there's stuff in the standing rules, saying we need a minimum 1 week from introduction, split with committee, all that. Maybe we start actually requesting that the Senate have open dialogue with admin about new positions and about these concerns that come up from time to time. I think honestly, if we did all that, a lot of the concerns I have right now would not be as severe. But I do feel good on this obligated to at least
do you want to stop first or could I invite Sean? Okay, thank you. If there's no objection, to invite Sean.
I'm up, snuck you out the back of the night. Well, hello. Yes, just some quick things. Thank you for mentioning probation period. So I understand the concern. And just a big difference between what's happened in the recent history, which is where that some of these groups were given to staff that were already at 100 or 120%. Right? There's a difference between that and a brand new position. So the solution to make sure this doesn't happen again is to hire a new person. And I understand the concern of hiring a new person who will them do the job. There is a probation period, and there is progressive discipline if that doesn't happen. No one really pretends for 6 months and then just doesn't do their job thinking, oh, I'm a coast. People have been it happens, it's not impossible. If someone doesn't do their job, we'll fix it. And it's not the Senate's job to do that. It's my job to do that. It's the supervisor's job to do that. So trust that will happen, but I also can't tell you about it. So that's one of the frustrations. They're just labor. I can't tell you about it. I can tell my supervisors and the president, and that's it. And that's kind of it. So I know it's not a satisfying answer to things, but all that's factored in. We want to hire a person. It's always a gamble. We've had positions that these people have been hired and it didn't last very long at all. And we've had people that have been hired and lasted decades, right? So you hopefully go through a very extensive process of interviews. This is why when you do Zoom interviews, do in-person interviews, you get a real view. You don't know who the person is and what they can accomplish. And you pick the best person that you can for the position, and then you put them in the mix, train them, and do the job and see how it goes. And those groups need the support. And there's the method of just kind of spreading it to people who are already at max is just, it's not working. Just want to emphasize that. I know it's like,
Senator Giuseppe.
May I ask, is the rule you're not allowed to discuss this with any student besides the president, is that state law, is that UC policy?
all of the above.
All of the above?
Yeah.
Yeah, it does make the situation a bit difficult.
I understand.
And of course, I'm not blaming, hey, none of us are in this California state legislature, but.
It's privacy. It's like, that's what it is, it's privacy. It's also not that, so you have 100 cooks in the kitchen trying to examine and say, well, I think this is the best course of action, because that's not gonna work and doesn't work. But it's the privacy of them and their position and their job. And if like someone here was in a position had employment, they wouldn't want me spreading things to just everybody. Like there's certain limits to what that's all.
Does the president have any ability to initiate the disciplinary process, or do they just get like
They're more informed. Yeah, like with the one president, like the 1.5 presidents that I like interacted with, it does become a little bit of discussion. They will bring things to me. So I can like, hey, are you aware of this? And usually I am, but there's like a discussion both ways.
Oh, right.
Yeah. But they're an advocate for things too, because they hear things, so I'm not.
Okay, any questions for Sean? Okay, thanks for coming up, Sean. Senator Collins, do you want to say something? Okay, awesome. Okay, the floor is still open. Any more discussion, any motions? Senator Nanashahi.
I motion to adopt the AS 90% advocacy at the job.
You can rescind that one, maybe what we've done in the past is move to approve.
Yeah, I move to approve the AS 90% advocacy. Well-being job description.
Okay, there's been a motion to approve the AS Advisor for Student Advocacy, Equity, and Wellbeing job description. Is there a second? Senator Giuseppe.
Given that,
Where the motions are, for more discussion, there just have to be a second first.
Sure, second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Senator Giuseppe.
I'm willing to support this motion on the basis that number one, that students are deeply involved in the hiring process, which I know is, I have no doubt from you guys that that's going to be a thing, but I just want to make that clear. Number one, and number two, that admin takes, when this person gets hired and the probationary period is over, that admin takes seriously any complaints made by either the Senate or the people being advised or any student for that matter about the performance of this staff member to be. As long as that happens, and as long as we change the standing rules so that we never rush through this all in a day again, I'm willing to support this.
I personally can say I can commit to adding that to the standing rules, just treating this like a bill. Yeah, and then, if you wanna also amend the motion too, if you'd like to add any like with the, you feel free to do that or we just approve it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind amending it.
Okay, Senator Collins.
Yeah, I just want to ask you, Senator Giuseppe's opinion. So you said that you doubted that probably the advisor didn't do too good of job after the probation period. Would you say that would you like to extend the probation period, or what's your thoughts?
So correct me if I'm wrong, Sean, the 6-month period is set in California state law, right?
You can extend probation.
Would you guys be willing to include some sort of stipulation here saying that we request the executive director, we request in advance the executive director to extend the probationary period if the Senate asks to do so at the end of those 6 months? Is that illegal?
If there's no objection, we have the answer that to the floor to answer that question.
Okay, so So what we do is, there's three performance evaluations during an employee's first 6 month period, right? So the first 3 months, we do a check-in. And then as things are progressing, if we still find that the employee has not progressed or done their job, we go to HR, Employee Labor Relations, and we officially request that their probation be extended for another 3 months. We let the employee know also ahead of time and say, this is what we're gonna do, because there's progressive disciplinary actions, right? Or how we talk, and let them know what they need to change and learn about their job. And if they don't make their changes, we can't extend their probation. If they still haven't met the requirements or met the needs or performed satisfactory, then yes, we can immediately terminate the position. But can Senate ask for that to happen? If Senate is realizing that this employee isn't performing, and you can talk to Sean, who, and Ollie, and whoever is their supervisor, then we would take that into consideration. And of course, the immediate supervisor is also responsible for their day-to-day work. So yes, probation can be extended under the circumstances that an employee isn't performing, that we've given that employee enough notification, and we let HR know within that time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any more discussion on this? Senator G7.
How to do this, I move to amend the motion. So that the end of the motion reads provided the students are actively involved in the hiring and probationary processes. And that the executive director considers if any complaints made by students as insofar as they regard the staff members of the. That was not adequately sound, was it?
Okay, before I repeat it, I added provided students are actively involved in the hiring and probationary processes, and that the executive director considers seriously complaints by students, or
Seriously considers complaints by students with regarding the staff member to be for the duration of this position's existence.
Seriously considers complaints by students for the duration of the position's existence.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable.
Okay, there's been a motion to been a motion to amend the motion to add provided students are actively involved in the hiring and probationary processes, and that the executive director seriously considers complaints by students for the duration of the position's existence. Is there a second? Senator Wong. Second. The motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor say aye. So we're voting, no worries. We're voting to add this to the action motion. So we're not voting to approve the motion yet. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, now the motion reads. Now the motion reads, move to approve the AS advisor for student advocacy, equity, and well-being job description, provided students are actively involved in the hiring and probationary processes, and that the executive director seriously considers complaints by students for the duration of the position's existence. Let me check my Robert's rules. I think we are still now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move into a vote. We're gonna do the Senate voting tracker for this one.
The 3/4 vote, right?
3/4, I lose. Motion 1, and I will put the motion language in the voting tracker. Senators on Zoom, if you guys can vote on the voting tracker, it's on top of the agenda. Thank you.
Oh,
My bad, I will. Senator Aki, Senator Gonzalez. Senator Nambar. Senator Ahi, if you'd like, she's like you. She is not. Okay. Senator Gonzalez, if you'd like to vote, you can let me know or fill out the tracker.
Yeah, where do I don't see the tracker.
It's at the very top of the Senate agenda that I sent you. And it says Senate voting tracker 6-3. But you can also tell me your vote if you'd like yes, no, or abstain.
I'll look at the tracker.
Okay, awesome. And then Senator Nambar, if you'd like to vote. If not, I will mark you as abstain. Okay, yeah, we'll wait for Senator Gonzalez to vote.
I will abstain for this one.
Okay, lovely. Okay, the vote reads 9-1-2, vote motion passed. Okay, the position is now approved and they will begin the hiring process, I believe, this summer. Okay, awesome. 1-2, motion passed. Okay, great. Next, we are now in old business. Nope, I lied. Did I lie? No, I did not lie. Yeah, we are now at old business. We are at a bill to amend articles 1-19. If someone can make the motion that I suggested, Senator Gismoy.
I move that bill to amend articles 1-19 be stricken from the agenda given its prior move to the executive.
There's been a motion that the bill to amend articles 1-19 be stricken from the agenda due to its prior referral to the executive committee. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen, second. Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Okay, motion passed. The bill is now stricken from our agenda. I don't know if I can formally do that. I will figure that out. Yes. Okay, we're gonna move into G3 financial allocations. So we have the AS Publications budget proposal. Sean, if there's no objection, I'd invite Sean to the floor to speak about this. Hi, Sean, welcome back.
Oh, hi. It's been a while. Okay. A lot of notes proposed. All right, so publications, I think they have, the budget proposal is linked, have additional information, I don't know if it's in the budget proposal. But the idea being that we have a lot of things that are tied in to publications, including existing business relationships and future business relationships. So Hubs brings in probably 25 to 30K a year. It's not turning a profit because we have to pay student employees and supplies and things like that. But I would argue that those relationships with faculty and staff and other parts of campus are invaluable. And that we're also, it's a service. I kind of figured it, not like the postal service, but not unlike the postal service, where it doesn't have to pull a profit because it provides a lower cost service, right? So you could send a letter via UPS, but you're going to broke bank. So you could print something out across the way over here, and it's going to be 25-50% more than if you do it, right? And so we should just target our stuff towards what AS groups do, but maintain the relationships that we have. We, sell $7,000 to $10,000 worth of readers. Yeah, most of our stuff is more than half is just print shops, just regular print shops that come through. Most of them student groups that have to. But timing on all this is extremely important because we need this passed so that we can be ready for the summer. And right now we only have one summer employee who said they can do it, but there's no budget to pay them. So there needs to be training, there needs to be, hopefully we can get one more person hiring go in there and can do the readers and the other print jobs during the summer. Because I have a note here from Chris about this, housing relies on us for large volume printing projects across the residence halls. Athletics, dance, theater regularly utilize our services, RCOs, graphology and others, and of course, a bunch of BCUs and on publications to support their outreach and programming efforts. And then session B looks like it's maybe like when things really start picking up, and it's our busiest period kind of like of the year. So we need things as quickly as we can. And then, yeah, faculty members I already mentioned, course readers, lab manuals, biology lab manuals, and other instructional resources. So there's a lot. I mean, anything that can't be printed, we can print. And we want to, the budget for the new equipment is not leases. Like we would buy a large format printer, we would buy stuff that can do more stickers. Like we have equipment right now that's not held in pubs, but we have it over at the media center. We had the idea and we did it, and we print custom stickers, just not a huge amount. We can do a couple hundred for you, but if you want 1,000, we'll have to get through it. Stickers are something that every group does. Every group has stickers, every group has flyers. A lot of groups have like large format stuff, and we want to target that and go away a little bit from just the standard printing. Like we'll still do it, but we don't need 2, 3 machines. We need one. And so like we can free up space for the other things that we but yeah, so there's the budget that's attached for additional funding for things. It's kind of the idea is that not everything is also targeted for additional business opportunities, like I mentioned, program board, printing old extravaganza posters or old posters from back in the day. As I kind of look towards alumni and things like that, I'm part of one of the only reasons I'm still using Facebook, part of the alumni Facebook group, and it has 18,000 people. And so that's would be huge for like, because that's what late 90s, early aughts, that group. And they would buy something if there was a poster from when the Far Side came, or when other groups, or Jack Johnson, or stuff like that. And we have a lot of the artwork on that, or we can scan it, and if we don't have the original artwork. So, that's just one idea of all that kind of thing. And it's put on demand. And the other idea is that we can do a little bit like what Berkeley does, which their printing model is general public, you just be affiliated AS. As like general public gets a certain price. If you're an RCO or staff and faculty, you get another price. And if you're an AS group, you get the biggest as a way to kind of do tiers. So that would show like, well, we get the biggest discount because we're serving our own groups. And if that the bill that was the first right of refusal that we put that in place, then we're going to guarantee more business for pubs as they can continue to build and back just a different way. Right? Don't build back to what you were, because there's what are you going to convince people to do readers again? No. We have a few paper readers we have, but do the stuff that we already know that we use that we just currently outsource for. Why are we sending money away when we can do this? Yeah, that's how fun.
Okay,
Huge.
great. I think we're time for recess, so I think we'll call recess now. I'm going to be seated back here by 9:15, and then I might invite you back up because I know Michael said something to me, so we can talk more about that too. Lovely. See you back here by 9:15. Hi, Senators Online. We'll begin again at 9:15. So I guess do whatever you've been doing, but be back at 9:15.
Like I need to get it, like I have to read it. She just snapped me at the door. Stay out of you guys waiting. Thank you so much.
Oh, someone leaves me.
No, yeah.
Okay.
I was like, it's like.
You were saying you have something. Yes, post.
Yeah.
Yes, my orders to everyone's on it. Say that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I have money you want. Like, yes, like, addition. Yeah.
That's all my.
From who? What?
Senator Wong, do you just wanna sit with us until? Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna get started.
What is this Michael's position right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so senators, I forwarded you an email from Michael Saya. He is the Associate Director of Finance and Budget. And I'll just read it out loud if you don't have the email, but I sent it to everyone. Adequate to send it to your Senator Dolan is next to your personal email. But for the President's and 76th Senate budget deliberation, the rationale requested a cost benefit analysis for doing alternatives and AS space use needs. This would in his mind include a full future product line breakdown, pricing comparisons, volume and revenue projections against AS spending patterns historically with other vendors providing these products for any new printer investments. So he's just saying comparing it, just having more detailed analysis. This hasn't been supplied yet and would be expected for any significant investment upgrade and long-term hiring of a permanent staff member, which wasn't agreed to as part of the separate staffing recruitment plan. Also note that Sean at the Senate deliberations agreed that the current printer operations can continue servicing clients with the new business services manager overseeing the work until the future direction becomes clear. And we also have Kathleen Kat Brasola on staff that has managed the physical printing jobs for clients. Sean, if you want to clarify that a little bit later. On the AS Pub's budget front, they have received the following approved budgets in the budget cycle these last 3 years. 2023 to 2024, $15,000 around. 24-25, $25,000, 25-26, $23,000. The above is the advanced budget against their forecasted revenue of, as Sean mentioned earlier, $25,000 to $30,000 a year, which offsets the budgeted costs, excluding the professional staff. And so the current budget request that they're asking for exceeds what they've historically been provided, and it doesn't anticipate any offsetting revenue. And so in his opinion, further conversation is needed for a more thorough analysis of AS business services in general. And yeah, that's what Michael said, and I just wanted to provide that for all the senators. Sean, could you, if there's no objection, invite Sean back to the floor for this discussion. Could you clarify the part where you said that, where Michael said that the current printer operations can continue servicing clients with the new business services manager overseeing the work, and then we also have Kat on staff that's can like still manage the like physical printing files for clients?
No,
No, okay.
Kat, it is like 5% of Kat's job. So she's gonna be doing some training for some of the new student staff. But we also don't have that new business services person yet either. So if we waited till that person's hired, we lose all of our summer business. And if we lost all of our summer business, that means all those people would also not trust us to be able to do things to fall into it. So. Yeah.
Okay, any questions while we have Sean on the floor?
I was also informed that that we do the Res Life door decks. We print those. That's a big customer for us during the summer. Kat informed me of that. But yeah, and the position that hasn't been, another position that would have to be approved, that would be part of the 12 positions or whatever was approved for the Senate, would be the replacement for the publications coordinator, which has not been filled for 6 years, 7 years, something like that. So, and it would be more than just publications. It would be a little bit of marketing. It would be other materials to be tied into our marketing area with Chelsea and Leanne and Leanne. So it wouldn't just be a straight up you handle printers. That those days are gone.
I'm just gonna ask a clarifying question. So if we were to fund as pubs, let's say like a lesser amount than what they're asking for, so like 30,000 or like something along the lines of like what we've historically funded them. Would we still also be hiring a publication position? Would we recommend it to hire publication staff position, or where do you see that fitting?
Eventually, yes. Like I would want to temporarily, the business service AD would need to take over some things to do that job, just like that's what we asked of the current one, Phil, who's retiring, and it ended up being, 6 years of that. And I think doing that, I didn't do that, but like I don't like that when that happens. Because then one person's like Holly doing 2 jobs for an extended period of time, and that's not fair to them. And then they're inundated, and then people have complaints because they're doing 150%. And it just kind of snowballs from there. So eventually, but I'll just as a like blanket thing for hiring. When I hire somebody and then we evaluate how it's going, not just with the person, but with how they're affecting that area. So like when we hire the person for this student government liaison, they're gonna come in, they'll be trained, everything will go on, and then we'll look at it and go, okay, what do we need if we hire a second person in Holly's area that's around student government? It's not just gonna be like, well, let's do the thing I had in mind 9 months ago, that would be something. So it would be the same thing for this. We'll hire the AD for business services, we'll have the students who, we need money for the students to be paid. We'll increase those, and during that time, we can afford to buy a large format printer and test out some of the water there and see, okay, what should this person be? Which is why we haven't hired a publications coordinator to begin with, is because we've been looking at it and going, what should this be? And it's definitely not the job description was 7 years ago.
If I could ask another question. So publications has historically been funded like around the $25,000 dollar range in the past. Do you know off the top of your head, do you know the breakdown for that in the sense of like how much of that money went to student staff? Because on Chris's proposed budget right now, it's with the 87,000, 60,000, whatever, it's like 16,500 student staff. If we were to give them a budget of 30,000, would that amount for student staff still be the same, or would it be a lot smaller?
Well, I think the student staff and Chris gave me a breakdown. See if I can find it here. I've been in a group discussion. I think it was just for a couple student staff for like the year, it broke down to 16,500. It was 3 or 4, over the course of time. They have a lot of hours. It's like from the numbers, I think even just general assistants, which is student staff, and the printer leases starts to add up to like 30. And more. So I think Senate approved 22 just to cover the leases, which looks like right. Because if 04 and 05, 6, it's 22,800 on here. So that looks about right. But that plus the student staff, we can always do if we do fewer student staff, just the repercussion being then we don't have maybe enough if we increase the throughput of like the amount of work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis. So, and you definitely still need money for paper and supplies and things like that. That's not going to go away.
Okay. Thank you, Sean. I think those are all the questions I have. Senators, are there any questions for Sean? Okay, great. Thank you, Sean. Senator Gisoni?
I don't have any questions for Sean specifically, but I would like to speak to this conversation.
Yes.
I'm actually really happy we are discussing this tonight because the resolution I put on the floor last week starting a special committee on enterprise units. One of the responsibilities of that committee is to look at every existing enterprise unit and know how to best maximize their revenue. So I just wanted to put that out there. Assuming that my committee is approved by the Senate in due time, that would be something that committee would look at, and I think we have to get back to the Senate regarding surrounding that by the end of October. So there will definitely be on that front of a investigation of this situation. There will definitely be recommendations as well. Just wanted to point that out.
Any other discussion? Also just want senators to know that we can propose any amount. So I know on the proposed budget that is attached. It's $87,640, but Senate has a jurisdiction to either not approve this or allocate whatever amount we deem fit. So floor is open for any discussion and motions. Senator Carlin.
Just kind of reading with what Michael was saying and the things that have been discussed here today. I think I do agree with Michael and that like a more thorough conversation needs to happen before we vote on this, before we even like go ahead and give any sort of dollar amount. I want to make sure that like there's a really, I guess, like tangible plan about how they plan on scaling and using this money to effectively try and break out of like running a deficit. It would be obviously in our best interest to try and have this make a profit for us as AS. Like I think that would be something that would be great if we could have an entity that would make us money. I don't feel fully confident yet. Excuse me. I don't feel fully confident yet that if we go ahead and just give them the money right now, that it will magically turn profitable and all work out. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little skeptical on this just because I feel like publication is a dying business with a lot of things being moved towards digital. But I feel like if there was a little bit more of a detailed plan, I would be ready to vote on it. But as for right now, I would want to like table it to again.
The thing that's being passed around is the student like training manual. So the part that I posted noted is just like how much the pricing would be for students. Yeah, Senator Narvan.
I understand like that element makes a lot of sense and I agree. But I also like am sympathetic to their, desire to fund themselves over the summer. So I think it could be interesting for us to consider maybe something not as much because it is quite a steep departure from what they have been doing in the past, but I also don't want to like not fund them and have them not having the summer because I can understand about impede operations in the fall. Should they not be able to operate the summer? Lose faith in their ability to operate. I don't know what the goal is, that's just me.
Any other discussion? Senator Van Zoom, feel free to talk to if you'd like. Senator Wong.
I was previously speaking with previous chair of the finance committee, Jim John, earlier about this. And then I kind of agree with her opinion where she was saying that we probably shouldn't like fully fund this since it's such a huge amount and we don't like we can't really be certain that it's actually going to pay off. But she did say that it might be okay to like do give like a partial funding, kind of do like a pilot as in when we see them actually taking initiative on one of their proposed plans and actually making a profit, then we should continue.
Any other discussion? For senators, I might have been asked on Senator clarifying question. John, with how much we approved for AS Clubs right now, that's not funding any student staff, right?
Correct.
Okay. So as of right now, we have no one working the printers.
Correct.
Okay. Senator Somebody.
I think this is something that we would be investigating throughout the term of the Senate. The publication is still profitable. Maybe it's time to sunset it. I don't think it is. I think the term it's not profitable as it stands right now. There to increase the profitability of other clubs. I don't think it's responsible to basically shut the whole down nights off of these concerns. It doesn't make sense. AS Publications provides a legitimate service because of the school. We haven't determined whether or not we want it to be a profit generating entity or if we want it to just be a service like most of the other units that are part of this association. And so I feel like while there needs to be an ongoing discussion from the Senate, and I do think that Enterprise Units Committee would be a good venue to have that discussion, assuming it gets authorized. I think that as it stands right now, we should give
them the funding they need to pay their student staff. I think doing anything else is it's rash.
Senator DeCarlo.
Yeah, actually, after hearing further discussion, I'm convinced, change my mind a little bit. I think maybe I want to ask this to you, Sean. How much do you think that AS pubs would need instead of like their full amount, but how much would they need more additionally to have a good base where they can still operate and have student staff, but maybe not the entire request? And what does that look like?
So in addition to the 22,000 and change that's already been allocated?
Yeah.
Which was just for the leases of the printers.
Yeah.
So we definitely need, I've been communicating with Kat, but $7,000 for rent, but definitely that.
Okay.
Because I believe we are charged rent because it's a business in that area. We'll definitely need materials with paper, printer supplies. And so let me add up all that on the chart here. I'd say we can probably, if we want to do, this summer and into fall and see how things are going. Yeah, it's really. I think math in my head there. The basic request here was like 50, 60 extra from what we've been got. That's it. So 30. I think 30 or 25 would probably suffice for a little bit of time, so at least we can have some student employees this summer and maintain, like once again, like we're still earning money, it's just not as much as we put into it. So like if we shut down, we're earning zero. Yeah, so.
Any more discussion? Senator DeCarlo.
I guess Sean, there is like one further question for me because I am kind of curious about this new printer investment, which would be another $100,000. How many years would it take, I guess, hypothetically, to like pay us back on that? Because if we're spending, what'd you say, 7,000 in, or not, that was rent. How much is the printer lease is 16,800. So I guess my question is, if the new printer investment's $100,000, if we did approve that, how many years do you reckon it would take to make that back and then start earning just profit on?
That I don't know, and that's a good question. I think the 100K is probably at the very high end of that estimate for that. And the leases add up to 22. So there's additional ones to the line above it as well. Line breaks out into rental leases and printer leases.
Okay.
But then that's on a cycle, I think it's a 3 or 5 year. But we would most likely have, scale that down.
Yeah.
So we can do more of the stuff we want to do, which is the large format or business prints, that kind of thing. So we can diversify and not just be focused on just like the straight up printing basically. Yeah.
Because I would be curious if that would be profitable, and I would like to attempt that at some point. I think maybe if, I don't know, and I'm just talking out loud here, if we got like an actual number about how much a new printer investment would be with like here's what we plan to make from it. If I saw that in front of me, I would support it like wholeheartedly. I would kind of want to just see them run with it.
I can find that, and we'll have to factor in, and I was reminded of this recently by one of the staff, like that we also need to think about how much we're saving the student groups by giving them subsidized printing, right? Because so there's that on top of it. Like yes, there's profit margin part of it as well, and paying off for the equipment, rental, or purchase. But then on top of that, it's like, well, these groups would have spent 25-50% more outside, which is also AS dollars student fees, and now they're not. And it's just coming inside here. And so like how much is that on top of that? And that would just average out the profit of it sooner, but I'd still be curious to see how that maps out.
Yeah, I'd be really curious to see that, like just the whole model. I think that would be really cool because I would want to see it be successful. Thank you.
Okay, so we do have quite a bit on the agenda left, so I'd recommend making a motion. I do have two suggested, to those who's make one. Move to allocate a blank amount to aid publications contingent on an outlet budget, which we require of all groups, and if you guys not anything else, or move not to allocate money to ACE publications about 250, and then if you want to add the reasoning, go ahead. Senator Somebody.
So just for clarification, I'm looking at the proposed budget. So the actual cost of paying student staff is 16,500 and another 4,950 for work study. I guess plus 23,000 for staff salaries. So everything else is operating expenses, but I'm confused. Do they like this publications need these operating expenses to still function? Because I feel like if they do, it should be them. Like we have not yet determined what we want out of AS pubs in the future. We haven't determined if we want it to be like a profitable enterprise unit or a USPS type thing, all that. And again, I feel like until we've done that, we should maintain the status quo. We shouldn't do anything that makes it impossible for them to do service which they have been authorized to do until we have gone through the whole process of coming to the conclusion that that service is either no longer necessary, it's been modified or whatever. And we are not even close to having made that conclusion. I don't think we should be depriving them of any funding they need to operate or pay the people. If that means funding them in full, then I think that that's what we need to do.
May I provide some context? So I remember that historically we funded them again, 25-26, we funded them $23,000, and then that was the result we got this year. And so they're asking for pretty much a $60,000 increase. And as Sean mentioned earlier, if we were to fund them less, they would just have less student staff. So up to you guys what you want to do with that. But they have functioned on how well they functioned is up for debate, but in the past we have funded them $23,000, 25-26, $23,000, 24-25, $25,800 if you want to maintain the status quo. As for the budget they included, I forgot to ask Chris about this when he had sent it out originally. I'm unsure about what the staff salaries is, so you can just ignore that, I believe. And then again, the student staff would be adjusted accordingly, whatever we fund them, and then operating, that's what they're stretching for next year. 20,000 is 22,000 is already allocated for the printer leases and the rental leases. So whatever number you guys want to come up with, or no number. So
If you asked it.
yes, Senator Somebody.
I don't know, maybe Sean knows this. So have these student staff already been hired? Like if we cut the amounts we're giving to our student staff payments, that means people can get it off, because I don't want to do that either. I think that as an association that represents students, we need to keep the interests of those students in mind, including students that are hired by AS. Be ridiculous for us to lay them off, because we're considering who we working AS firms. So are those students, have they already been hired, the students that wasn't even getting money today? Do you know that, Sean?
There is student staff already being scheduled for some days.
Okay, then I must ask that we fund student staff payments.
As a clarification, do you know if student staff is being funded this month, or is it being increased? I don't know if you know that information.
It's the amount that was on Chris's budget request.
Yeah, I believe it's 16,500 for general assistance and then $4,950 for work study.
Right, Chris had recently figured out those numbers, so I think that's accurate.
Okay, so that's how much we're probably paying them right now.
I don't have the numbers on how many per hour they receive and how many it is. I can't find the conversation, it's in there somewhere. But that's. I mean, the reason that the group is able to, I look back at 2025, 26, 23, 24, like those budgets and how much they were allocated. They're pretty much allocated exactly the amount that was required for the leases. Even though they requested more most of those years, but the profit that they made from that was able to offset and hire the students. But you're not supposed to take into account profit when it comes to budget hearings. Because profit is not guaranteed. You have no idea year to year if you're gonna have the same customers and consistency. So in theory, we could have the same profit and be able to do this with the, reduced budget, but we had no idea. And the money isn't spent, we have to figure this, the money isn't spent, it just goes back. Like, this is one of the reasons you can use money from reserves, it's for a business service. It's a business service, if it doesn't get spent, guess what, it goes back to reserves, like, it just goes back right there, so. They do that, with what you will.
Senator Carlin.
Move to allocate an additional. Oh wait, no, well, before I say this, is this number 87,640? Is that the additional, or are they like?
Yeah, that's the total.
That's the total, so what is it, what do they already have? So what I need to subtract from? To get the word additional.
Additional includes stuff we already used in our other budget.
Oh yeah, recent.
What's wrong?
What's wrong?
Senator Simoni.
I move to allocate an additional $87,600 to ACE publications, account number 250, contingent on an outlined budget. And so, shaping out the budget is fine.
I just want to provide some clarification, not trying to influence the motion, but we've already allocated some of this money. So
Have we?
yes. I don't know what staff salaries, I don't know what staff salaries is, like, I wouldn't allocate that until we get clarification from Chris. We already gave him $22,000. So if you would mind withdrawing the motion, just for.
Yeah, that's fine.
I say motion withdraw, just for the one.
I'm gonna, yeah, I withdraw. So I'm gonna subtract 23,000 for staff salaries and 22,000 that I gave them. That brings us to a
Senator Simoni.
motion to allocate an additional $42,640 to its publications account 250 contingent on an outlined budget and detailed information on what the purposes of that salaries line in budget proposal go to.
There's been a motion to allocate an additional $42,640 to ACE Publications account number 250 contingent on an outlined budget and detailed information on what the purposes of the.
Not the purposes of. On what the staff salaries.
On what the on what the on these staff salaries in the budget line would go to.
Yeah.
Okay, is there a second? Senator DiCarlo.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded, we are now in discussion. Senator Call.
Yeah, just I'm not sure I followed up, but it was just for a clarifying question. So how much do we already give to mostly?
So we gave last year 22,000. They're asking for.
3,000 from
No, so during our budget cycle for the 76th Senate, the Senate allocated $22,000 just to continue some of the rentals and the leases. Yeah, and that answers your question.
So this abstract from which number is it? Is it like the total number, which is 87, or which part do we not fund for AS publication? Just a clip.
Senator Jason, correct me if I'm wrong, we didn't fund rental leases and printer leases because we already covered that. And then we're not funding staff salaries because that's not where that's going to, huh?
Yeah, because we don't know what that is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that brings us down to the down to it.
Okay, any further discussion? Seeing none, we're going to go to the Senate voting tracker. Motion 2. Senators on Zoom, can you guys go to motion 2 on the Senate voting tracker? We're voting on whether to fund AS Publications $42,000 now. Thank you. Senator Aki, Senator Chinawala. Senator Navar. I'll give you guys like 10 seconds. Is Senator Lopez? Senator Lopez is here. Oh, Senator Navar. Senator Chinawala, you'd like to vote? Last chance. Okay, I'm gonna mark you as abstain. Oh, thank you. Oh, hi, Senator Chinawala. Okay. Oh, okay, lovely. Okay, the vote count is 11-0-1, motion passes. So we have allocated $42,640. $42,640 to AS Publications about 250. I believe in the motion we forgot to say from where. So if someone a motion the previous motion to add from reserves, that would be helpful. Senator Giswanian.
Motion to retroactively amend the previous motion to read from reserves at the end.
There's been a motion to retroactively amend the previous motion to read from reserves at the end. Is there a second? Senator Natashahi?
I said.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we're going to move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Okay, lovely. Okay, the next financial allocation is $35,000. The suggested motion I made was we have to allocate approximately $35,000, which is the final amount. For context for this, it's so again, there was $60,000 in budget, in deficit. Their MOU has like $25,000, so 60,000 minus 25,000, around $35,000 from reserves to a score account to cover the remaining deficit. If anyone has any questions, feel free to ask. If not, welcome any motion. Does not have to be the one that's listed. Senator Nguyen.
Move to allocate approximately $35,000, the final amount of the drug funds from the MOU from reverse to score account number 365 to cover the remaining deficit.
There's been a motion to allocate approximately $35,000, the final amount of the drug funds from the MOU from reserves to score account 365 to cover the remaining deficit. Is there a second? Senator Carlin?
Second.
The motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. This one will also go to the Senate voting tracker since it's a financial motion. Motion 3, please. Senator Lopez, Senator Dunbar, you want to vote? Okay, Senator Dunbar, if you can hear me, I marked you as. Oh, is your son? Let it know. That's no, right? Okay, I've been talking for this. We will mark her as absent. Okay, the vote reads 9-0-1. Wait,
That is not.
that is not correct. Okay, well. Wait, there should be lunch. Hold on. Thank you so much. Okay, 10-0-1. Scared me for a second. Motion passes. Yeah, so we have allocated $35,000 to the score account so that they can cover all the something about it. Next, it's the Shrunken Pets one. I received an invoice. I can forward to senators if you'd like from John, I believe. It's $2,835. Senator Kong.
Move to fund Shrunken Heads to $2,835 for their 24-hour musical from Senate.
There's been a motion to fund Shrunken Heads $2,835 for the 24-hour musical from Senate unallocated. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen, second. The motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to the Senate voting tracker. Motion, is it 3? 4? Motion 4. Senator Chinola, Senator Cortez, motion 4, or yeah, motion 4. Senator Cortez, if you can hear me, if you'd like to vote, motion 4. Okay. Senator Cortez, I'm gonna mark you as an abstention if you can. Okay, the motion is 10-0-1, motion passes. Great, the next motion, this one's also be from Senate unallocated since we saw Senate, but it's Groucho Marx magazine. I can also forward you guys the invoices if someone would like, but it was $888.89 for one of their publication orders, and then $446.60. So total is the $1,000. $1,000. I don't know. Welcome. Floor is open. Senator Narshine.
I move to fund Groucho Marx magazine $1,303 to publication instead of.
There's been a motion to fund Groucho Marx magazine $1,334.89 for the publication from Senate unallocated. Is there a second? Senator Kong.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, we will move to the Senate voting tracker. Motion 5. Motion 5 for the senators on Zoom. Senator Lynn, if you could vote. Thank you. Okay, 10-0-1, motion passes. Okay, next is the $12,500 that was requested by our 2 speakers to fund the if someone wants to add that to the motion to fund the I forgot the official name for it, but it's from the Office of the President. Eternal Flame. Thank you. For the Eternal Flame. Yeah, the floor is open. Senator Nguyen.
Move to approve up to $12,500 from the Office of the President's rollover reserves to fund the Eternal Flame.
There's been a motion to approve up to $12,500 for the Office of the President's rollover from the Office of the President's rollover from reserves to fund the Eternal Flame. Is there a second? Senator Harlan.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Senator Nakai.
Mention of language, this is up to. This kind of lot to.
So yeah, the thing with context for rollover, it's just like whatever amount they have. Yeah.
Oh, okay, seriously.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So we can't like promise 1,000 because it's like we don't know how much they actually have left in the rollover.
I understand. Okay, nice.
Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to the Senate voting tracker. Motion 6. Senator Lynn and Senator Noel. Senator Lynn. Okay, great. Motion reads 11-0-0, motion passes. Okay, last funding one. We went through that quick, guys. This one is this one was the EVPSA request. She had come in a little earlier. let me see if the account number is correct. I'll put the full title. And it's, I think it's all presented in the slideshow that she had. Yeah, from reserves to address their promised funding requests. Senator Carlin?
Move to fund up to $20,575 to AS External Vice President of Statewide Affairs account 492 from reserves to address their promised funding requests.
There's been a motion to fund up to $20,575 to AS External Vice President of Statewide Affairs account 492 from reserves to address their promised funding requests. Is there a second? Senator Wong?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Senator Notfine?
I don't know if we should fund the full $20,000. I know she's talked earlier about how she's only heard back from one group. I mean, she had the 12,100 rate like on minimum. I'm a little bit confused what was going on with the whole like 2 years ago. They promised $7,000 to some group. I don't know if we should be funding that. And I don't feel about that. I don't know if we want to give them the minimum. I understand the minimum one group that I could follow it up, but I feel like if not following it up,
Senator Wong?
I agree with your concerns. For some of them, like use CSP breaking, for example, I think they perhaps like already used the money thinking that they got it approved. So I think for them we should fund. But I do agree that the 7,000 one at the end is a bit iffy, and I don't want to like accidentally approve money for something if perhaps like it got approved before and then maybe that money just in limbo because sometimes it just takes a long time for people to actually.
For context, I was talking to our EVPSA and then she also agreed with this wording, just if we set a fixed amount and then we don't wait until summer, and then let's say some of the orgs do reach out and they, because the EVPSA office did like verbally agree to fund them, and so if they were to follow up and say like, hey, like you guys did fund us, like we missed your emails, like can we still get funding for this? We would still have to honor the request as the EVPSA did approve that amount, and we'd have to do this over summer. So up to 20,575 does encompass that, but if you guys would like to lessen the amount, not include the initiative, keep that amount, up to you guys. We're in the middle of the motion, so it would be, you just want to talk about this more or like amend the motion to change the numbers, feel free to do so. Senator Khan?
Yeah, I would say, based on the discussion, I think we're barely like at quorum, so some senators may not be aware of such things. So maybe we will like we got partially funded. That's what would you guys?
Senator Collins?
I think as our body, like as the body of the Senate, we want to help make AS, look good to the public and address the students' concerns. So if we're not backing up like our EVPSA's word that they're going to fund these student groups, like that doesn't really look good on us, that we're just going against what, the EVPSA already promised these groups. We're just restricted, like we're withholding the funding. I don't think that's a good look. And besides, like in the grand scheme of things, and these are going to student groups. I mean, it's $20,000, a lot of money, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not that much. And if it's to pay back a promise that they've already made, and it was money that they've already spent that they're waiting to get back, I think it's in our best interest to give them the money that we promised them.
No, shy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. I'm just also concerned about this. I don't know. Like, what is there any things we can do in the future to prevent this from happening? I don't know why we're spending money we don't have, but so you're saying it's going to student groups. So.
Senator Carlin?
Yeah, I think in the future, maybe we can like let the EVPSA know to like not just outright promise funds for whatever it is. I mean, these groups have been waiting on their money for a little bit, and that's why I am fearful of letting like not passing this right now or not funding the full amount, because then if we need to meet over the summer, try and pass it and track people down, make sure that they can get their money, it's gonna delay the process. If people are really waiting on this amount of money, if we remove that $7,000 to somebody that might be a lot of money that they're waiting to get back on. And maybe they're just not checking their emails right now because it's almost finals, or like, there's I think there's a lot of real world issues as to why I feel like it's better to just fund it full here. And then maybe just have a chat with the EVPSA saying, hey, like, don't just straight up promise these without like full documentation and whatnot.
Senator Wall. Yeah, I completely would agree with that. Like I feel like I really trust Jasmine since I know her. So I'm thinking that I'll just like text her right now about like that 7,000 and to try to for her to like try to get proof that this like genuinely hasn't been like approved in some way. And of course, like it might be nice if we could get like perhaps in the future, like maybe like finance chair or somebody who knows more about this, their input. But I do agree like that with this language, like up to 20,575, I think that Jasmine's gonna EPSA is gonna use it properly. So I think that we should push this through.
Okay, is there any more discussion on this matter? Okay, let's move to the Senate voting tracker, motion 7, I believe. Motion 7. Senator Chinawala. Great, thank you. Motion reads 911. Motion passes. Okay. We got through all the funding requests. Anything else? Oh, Senator Wong.
Yeah, first I would like to provide some context. So I just got this information from former Senator Hepburn, like at 6:45 p.m. So it's very late. So I wasn't able to get like a ton of information on it. But basically, what he said happened, and I did check through like email chains. And yeah, so basically what happened with the finance committee is that they did an email vote, but the actual document with their email vote didn't have some motions. And so they didn't actually vote on certain things that they were supposed to motion on. And so the two things that they didn't end up voting on were funding the Scottish Heritage Club for a banquet and funding the American Institute of Chemical Engineers. And so basically I'm going to motion to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club, and I'll get to the actual motion later. But I do want to say that like I sent the email that I got from Xander with the full information to like IVP Vicky, so maybe you can like add that on there later. But I don't have the full information for the American Institute of Chemical Engineers, so I'm not entirely comfortable with approving like their funding. But for more context on the Scottish Heritage Club, like basically it was just their banquet, and you could look into like the meeting minutes, but basically the only reason they got denied was because they didn't have a person physically there to explain why they needed their exception. But their exception is just because they're giving away some stickers, and the stickers only cost like $10. So given the context that a lot of other RCOs and stuff have been approved for their banquets, I do think that they should be approved. So I'm going to move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club, $631.36 for their end of year banquet, with an exception of the giveaway.
Senator, motions would have to be made in a separate statement. So now Senator Jason, go first.
Senator, so I'm confused. Did this club receive the approval from finance committee and the approval didn't because they turned out, or is it they spent this money before they got? Because there is it was pretty strict rules, and I'm sure you know so many fights on the Senate floor last year over clubs trying to skirt over time combos. I don't want to start this year with the precedent that it's okay to ignore those rules and then ask for money from the Senate.
Senator Wong. So I'm not entirely sure on the point of like have they used the money yet, and of course I really hope they haven't, but since this is like a motion, like not to retroactively fund them, I think it's okay to like do this, and if they have used it, then they aren't gonna get approved to use that money. And I think your other point, sorry, what was that? There was something else. Senator Gismonti.
It sounds like this club did not follow finance committee procedures. Spent the money, correct me if I'm wrong, Senator, did they spend this money before they received the finance committee?
So I don't have the information on that, but I do think that they actually did follow the procedure. So basically what happened was like, yes, they were denied because they didn't have a person to explain the reception, but on their flux request, they literally did explain it. And it just like wasn't read, I guess, or like wasn't read too carefully by the finance committee. And so that's why it was motioned on. It was supposed to be genuinely on their email votes. So if you like go through the chain, it was supposed to be on there. It's just not, they just didn't vote on it at all. Senator Gismonti.
So they received no approval from finance committee to go forward with this and then spent it and are now asking for it.
I honestly not sure, like, let me check out.
Did they ever receive approval from FineFund?
No,
Have they spent this money already?
I don't.
Just remember to get recognized, but thank you guys for the good question. No, you guys are good. Very calm.
When we like see the information or like the motion, do it forward to the Senate if we like see the motion.
Senator Wong.
Yeah, I can just well actually you should be able to find it. It's open to everyone. It's the one that's titled in brackets Senate brackets urgent last call on finance committee approvals. It's that email chain. If you keep going down, then you'll see like everything we need.
Since there's no motion on the floor right now, if someone would like to make a motion, or if it's okay with you, Senator Wong, to move into other areas first, and if we want to come back. So,
I'm fine with going to other areas. I'm just like to let everyone know, I think I'm just gonna go outside on a PPP just to like call the number. I'm trying to get. Oh, you're right.
yeah, we'd lose one. I just recommend staying for now if you can get, if you can message him while we're doing this, but I'm going to recommend moving to other areas first since there's no motion on the floor, and then we can come back to financial obligations if you'd like and discuss this further. But okay, there are no committee reports. We're deciding the chairs now, and then committees will likely be meeting in the summer. I will be doing I will be meeting with all of the chairs and vice chairs just to discuss our plans for next year, and then probably we'll be doing like chair training, which will include the Robert's Rules of Order, all of that. And then over the summer, we'll like be when the committees are hired, and then meet, which will probably be around July, and then like all the legislation that's been what do you call it? Referred to these committees will be talked about. And then yeah, so I don't think any of the committee reports, minutes and allocations. The floor is open. Senator Gismonti.
Motion to bundle and approve all minutes and allocation.
There's been a motion to bundle and approve all minutes and allocations. Is there a second? Senator Kong.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we will move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Motion passed. Okay, we'll move into K, appointments and resignations. If someone, there were additional ones that were sent to me either before the deadline that I missed. It's Senate leadership, which I personally forgot to add on, my bad. Attorney General was sent to me by the president, and it's an important position. Trans and Queer Commission, their chair was approved. They therefore sent it to me. I'm adding that. There may be one more I have to add, but we can move to first. Senator Gismonti.
I'm going to be getting a list of questions from the today.
Yes. If tell no, I'm sorry. I have the appointments. Let me get that out. Yeah. Well, if we can motion this one first, and then I'll do one separate for the EVPLA. Senator Wong.
Chair, can we please move back to the financial allocations? I just got clarification from Xander, that they did not use this money already.
Okay, if there's no objections, we'll move back to section G3, financial allocations. Okay, the floor is open. Senator Wong.
Move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club $631.36 for their end of year banquet, with an exception of the giveaway.
There's been a motion
From reserves.
to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club
$631.36
$631.36
for their end of year banquet.
for their end of year banquet from reserves. Is there a second? Senator Comp,
Second.
the motion's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Senator Jason Moody,
Motion to amend the original motion, so that the end reads with the stipulation that no funds expended prior to the, date this motion was made,
could you repeat that? Senator Moody?
with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to the, schedule of this motion would be. Now will be clear.
Okay, there's been a motion to amend the previous motion to read with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to the passage of this motion be reimbursed. Is there a second? Senator Comp,
Second.
the motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Senator Comp,
I just have a clarification. Did you say for the previous motion, we moved to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club? Did you say that except some sort of a giveaway? Is that correct?
Yes, I did say, move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club, $631.36 for their end of year banquet, with an exception of the giveaway from reserves.
okay, Senator Comp.
I motion, are we in the middle of the motion?
Oh, sorry, we're in discussion for the amendment, so if we're still talking about that, Senator Comp.
I think, after this motion, I will have a motion to amend the special review.
Okay, yeah, so I don't think you said that in your initial statement, Senator Wong. Okay. Are we still in we're still in discussion for the amendment. Senator DeCarlo?
I think that's just a bad amendment, just because it kind of sets a, like, I get that you want to set the standard that they have to follow the rules and procedures correctly. But I think when you look at it from like a case by case basis, it's $631. And had they already spent it, they've already gotten approval from finance committee saying that they were going to get it. And so it looks a little bad if we go ahead and just deny it if they already spent it, because I mean, like, not gonna lie, that was the email chain and email vote is obviously not perfect. And I think there's better ways that they could have gotten the information, so it was a little confusing on their end. But in my opinion, I don't feel like this is the one to lay the foot down.
Senator somebody?
I have to provide some back. Senator. First off, my understanding is this was never actually approved by the finance committee. And the general rule that with any financial disbursements, don't get to spend money before it's due. That's a pretty steady sort of. Also had a lot of problems with certain senators last year, especially coming and requesting basically to bypass the financing process to get special funding for things they wanted funded. It was a very big controversy. Many hours were spent fighting over stuff like that. And there's currently a There's currently something in the bylaws. I actually voted against it because I think what it purports to do is unconstitutional. But the bylaws do now say that there are severe limits on the ability of groups to request funding directly from the Senate. If we're gonna approve this, I think it has to be in a manner that as closely fits the way finance committee handles funding as possible. Both on a moral ground, on a precedential ground, and if you believe that the amendment to the bylaw we pass it fully civil is constitutional on a legal ground as well. I think if you do it any other way, it's just not only is it a bad look, it's setting a terrible precedent for the future. We've spent so many hours fighting for whether or not senators and things that they want this before. And the consensus is, at the very least, it's highly improper to do so. So we should treat this as much as a finance committee situation as possible.
Senator Carter, do you mind if I elaborate on something he mentioned? So there was a bylaw passed in the 76th Senate that says Senate unallocated. So that's like usually just the like extra amount that we have in like the Senate budget can only be used if organizations have exhausted all of their needs. So they went to the finance committee, they've gotten like approval from them or not or like gone to the Senate finance committee, like that didn't work out in this BCU, and then they finally go to us. And so that's what Senator Jason was referencing. So not necessarily for us to like bypass finance committee, but if they've exhausted all means, and then also if they were to go directly to us or like they've tried other sources of funding, the bylaws do say that it should be for general student use. Is that correct, Senator Jason?
Yeah.
Senator Garland?
I just feel like on a moral ground though, like they're in this email chain that they were supposed to get voted on, that they were supposed to get like approved for this the past 2 weeks, but they were unable to. And now the finance committee is like adjourned for the time being. It falls on us to kind of like pick up that slack and like be there for the students. Like it's $631 we've approved what almost like over $50,000 tonight. Like I get you want to put your foot down and be close to the bylaws, but I feel like in this case it wasn't their fault. They tried to go through the correct way with the finance committee. The finance committee made a mistake on their part, and then so I feel like it's our duty to be like, okay, we're gonna fully fund you because it wasn't your fault. You attempted to do it the correct way, but the system kind of failed that.
Senator Jason.
If what Senator Wong is saying according to the performance that we're gonna have is true, which is that this money has not been expended yet, motion is not complete. Making sure Senator Hepburn is so, which I believe he is, but I feel obligated to include.
Oh, we're still in discussion. Does anyone else want to add anything? Senator Wong?
Yeah, I just want to add that I really appreciate like both of your input on this. I do agree like with this moral groundness and like it wasn't the Scottish Heritage Club's fault that this was happening. And I also agree with Alec that this isn't really going to change anything with this stipulation. So I'm totally fine with this amendment. Yeah.
Senator Arshon?
Is there a call for these questions?
Yes, yeah, nice. We haven't used that one yet today. Okay, oh, I don't have to write that down. Okay, the question has been called. So this is the vote is to like stop discussion, no more talking. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, and then now this is for the to add the amendment, which is with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to passage of motion be reimbursed. So all those in favor say aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion. Yeah, nice. Okay. It's a 2/3 vote, so motion still passes. So now the motion reads, move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club $631.36 for the for the end of the year banquet for the giveaways. Oh, sorry. Ignore the giveaways part. End of the year banquet from reserves with a stipulation that no funds spent prior to the passage of this motion be reimbursed. We're now in discussion, Senator Kong.
Yeah, I would like to then to add for this session.
You should like move to.
Yeah. I move to retroactively amend the previous motion that I had for the extension of the giveaway.
It doesn't need to be retroactive and pass.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna withdraw your.
But get that. And then I'll say move to amend the previous motion and add the extension of the giveaway.
Okay. So we have a motion to amend the previous motion to add with the exception of the giveaway. Do you want to say where? In the at the end?
After after reserves.
After reserves. So there's a motion to amend the previous motion to add with the exception of the giveaway after reserves. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Senator Wong?
Senator King, do you mind rescinding your motion just so that we can add this like after banquet instead? I mean, I know it sounds a little weird, but when we say from reserves with the exception of the giveaway, it could be interpreted to mean like, oh, like we're approving this money for this part, but like for the banquet, but like not for the giveaway, which is yeah, thank you.
Senator Kong?
I rescind the motion. I will restate it as move to amend the previous motion to add with the exception of the giveaway after
Okay, there's been a motion to amend the previous motion to add with the exception of the giveaway after banquet. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. So the motion now reads, the motion now reads, move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club $631.36 for their end of the year banquet from reserves with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to the passage of this motion be reimbursed with the exception of the giveaway. Sorry. Move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club $631.36 for the end of the year banquet with the exception of the giveaway from reserves with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to the passage of this motion be reimbursed. So I believe this is the main motion. I have some additional context that might be helpful to senators. I contacted former finance chair Jenny Zhang, and she said that they had not done these motions on purpose, so it's not just a miss of these motions, because this is one of the 6 organizations that former Senator Hepburn is a part of and advocated for, and they are all out of money to support the groups, so we prioritize the ones that they have not supported in the past, because finance committee has run out of money. So that is additional context for the senators. Senator Simonian?
I provide additional context.
Yeah, perfect.
Surrounding the situation.
Yeah.
So last Senate, Senator Hepburn specifically was involved in a lot of the organizations he was in a high position of leadership in, tried for such funding from finance, and in particular, a lot of the times he went to the Senate floor after the finance committee either denied his requests or dialed him down because he was requesting so much money. With the context that was just given, I think I'm gonna have to vote no. Because I don't want to set precedents that AS funds are like to be used in a privileged manner for people in positions of power. I feel like the last Senate we put a lot of effort into sort of breaking that idea down, and instilling a belief that AS funds should be available to all students in full proportions, regardless of what AS position or title you hold. And I don't think what would essentially be an voting in defiance of finance committee is a wise idea. My understanding was that FinCom did not take action on this. If the chair from last year is saying that they actively denied this motion, I think we should go with what the finance committee chose to do. Especially given the context surrounding this very long-winded situation. So I will be voting no. I will be voting with the finance committee. Because I thought when I originally was planning on voting in favor of this motion, that I was just gonna vote the way finance committee was planning on voting if they didn't have that error. It's not sounding like they had that error. I will be voting the way they voted, which is against this motion, and I hope you guys all do the same. I yield.
If there's no objection, I will welcome to the board, or Sean, you can speak from there.
Yeah, just look at the language here, just a reminder, and I'll need to find the exact based on the legal code. The RCOs cannot be funded from reserves.
Oh.
Oh.
So the reserves are for AS. Internal AS things, so it would have to be from somewhere else.
Okay, thank you, Don. Senators also like if to know that another thing that's in my Robert's rules cheat sheet, which no one is on right now, is that you could postpone the motion indefinitely. So if you want to kill this motion with the context, it would be I move to postpone the question indefinitely. So you guys can find out too if you want. But Senator Wong.
I think that with the amount of money Senate unallocated, we could just pull from Senate unallocated. But like, of course, first off, there's not exactly a point in doing that if you guys don't want to motion this through. So I think we should have that discussion first. And in my opinion, I do see like what Senator Gia Simonian is saying. But I think like this being the Scottish Heritage Club, I think it's unfair to deny their entire club funding just because of Xander. And also, at least from the email chain that I'm seeing, this motion seems like it was supposed to be on their document. Of course, if Jenny says that it wasn't supposed to be, then I guess not. But I also don't entirely understand, like, if they didn't want to approve him funding, they could just all vote no. Like, but I don't understand why they wouldn't vote at all.
Clarification, it's not necessarily, I think it's a bigger situation that, but it's not, it might not be the only reason because of Xander, but they do have a limited amount of stage. I think the rationale probably was support all the groups that they have not supported past, prioritize whatever group they want to prioritize. Yeah, Senator Connor.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because at that time, Xander was both participating in this club and then as a senator, so I would say, was he like kind of travel as conflict of interest with this thing? Is that right? Was Senator from
Senator Simonian.
Yeah, in the sense that you both have the Senate is the ultimate financial arm of the association. We have ultimate financial sovereignty. Finance committee, actually, all the applications we have to make, all the allocations we make end up happening by the Senate through minutes. But yeah, so there was definitely a conflict of interest in that sense. The other side of it, though, is that the precedent that we've been trying to set last year is the Senate does not go against the will of the finance committee, whether or not they explicitly voted it down or chose to dismiss it. It sounds like maybe they chose the second option, but it sounds very clear that their intent was not just to it was not just that they ignored this motion because they didn't know what to do with it or they ran out of time and they very intentionally killed this motion. The precedent that has been set by the 76th Senate is that this body does not overturn actions of the finance committee at the whims of a senator, at the whims of a former senator. It's just unbecoming of our responsibility serving students of this. And on top of that, if you are of the belief that, and I think it's very complicated whether or not that equal code amendment we made in the final weeks of the 76th Senate is constitutional or not. If it is constitutional, then by taking money out of ASN allocated without going through the proper venues, we would be breaking even. For those reasons, it's a separate thing.
Senator Swain.
I move to suspend the question indefinitely, postpone the question indefinitely.
This is fun, raising all the Robert's rules. There's been a motion to postpone the question indefinitely. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen, second. Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Senator Carlin.
I hear what you're saying. But I do kind of starkly oppose this. You said that the 76th Senate set the precedent that the Senate doesn't overturn anything that the Financial Committee did. Now, I argue their inaction relegates the decision to us to make the decision on this funding. I understand that inaction is an attempt to kill the bill in a non-partisan way, or in just a special way that it doesn't make it look like they killed it. But I argue we don't know exactly what happened. I mean, I don't know personally who you got your information from, like in real life, or maybe I haven't, I don't know. But I'm saying, like, I don't know the full scope of this, so it feels quick to shoot it down and postpone it indefinitely just because of what one person on financial committee said versus the email chains. It feels really muddy. And I still think it sounds like it almost is coming from a personal place against this Xander Hepburn kid. So in my opinion, it would be a disservice for us to deny this entire club funding when it's, in front of us here. And if it is true that they hadn't spent the money before asking for it, then I feel like they've done everything that you asked for. And so it wouldn't make any sense to postpone the question.
If I could provide some context, we've had a lot of discussions that were very lengthy because of motions that were brought directly to the Senate in this way. And all the funding requests that we have passed earlier today, they've all either come in for public forum or they've contacted me, like the IVP account directly, provided like invoices, messages, and like they've reached out to me directly and ahead of time. And so again, like you guys can do what you guys want with this motion, but for all the previous funding requests, like we have received like numbers in advance or they've come for public forum. And the reason we're in this lengthy discussion is very reminiscent of the 76th Senate, where the person in question oftentimes would directly to the Senate floor have the advantage as a sitting senator to advocate for some of the clubs that he was with or had close ties with. And so I hope that provides context because this is just very reminiscent of what we did last year. And then all the clubs that we have approved money of earlier, as you know, they presented or they have emailed me directly, in which I forwarded the information all to you guys. And then to answer your question, Senator Carlo, the person was the former finance commissioner that has come to speak to our Senate in the past and provide some insight. Senator Simonian.
I want to provide additional context. I don't have anything against Senator Hepburn. We're actually good friends. Any other former senator did this same thing, I would have the same stance because I think that the Senate has a duty to represent students at this university before it serves any senator and preparing out the position of power. We fought a lot over this last Senate. And it's just a point and a point of my belief that the Senate needs to put the students first, which this would not do. With that being said, I would be happy to rescind this motion and give this a recorded vote. If that makes you more comfortable, Senator DeCarlo.
Senator DeCarlo.
Yeah, I feel like I would like to have a recorded vote on this because you want to talk about like having it represent the students. I don't know the exact number of how many we're in the Scottish Heritage Club, but I'm sure it's more than just Xander Hepburn. And I kind of want to put it on record that I feel like we should give the, like everyone else that's a part of that organization their funding.
I rescind the standard motion.
Okay, that motion's been rescinded, so now to clarify, we're on move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club $631.36 for their end of year banquet with the exception of the giveaway from reserves. Oh, not from reserves, we have. Someone else amend that, please. From reserve, some from blank with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to the passage of this motion be reimbursed. I'd recommend move to amend the previous motion and replace reserves with Senate unallocated as we still have money in that account. Senator Khan,
As a strike through,
you can just say what is there.
okay, sure. Motion to strike through reserves and add send out.
Okay, there's been a motion to strike through reserves and add Senate unallocated. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen, second. The motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Okay, we're gonna go to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed. Okay, the motion.
On the.
Yes, now the motion reads, move to fully, this is like the longest thing ever, guys. Move to fully fund the Scottish Heritage Club $631.36 for the end of year banquet with the exception of the giveaway from Senate unallocated with the stipulation that no funds spent prior to the passage of this motion be reversed. We are now in discussion. Okay, no discussion. We will now go to a Senate voting tracker. Yes means we are passing this money and everything I said, and then no means we would not pass this money. I believe we are on motion 9, sorry. Sorry, 8. Thank you. Senator Cortez? I see you're hovering on it. Is there a vote you'd like to cast? Give you like 5 seconds. 1, 2, 2. She's still hovering. Okay, we're gonna mark you as an abstention. The vote reads 6-1-4, motion passes. So Scottish Heritage Club is being funded $631.36. Are there any motions? Okay, we will move to appointments and resignations, section K. If you could please make the first motion, I'd be appreciated. Senator Nguyen.
Move to add the Senate Leadership Attorney General and Trans and Career Commission appointments to the agenda.
There's been a motion to add the Senate Leadership Attorney General and Trans and Career Commission appointments to the agenda. Is there a second? Senator Call.
Sure.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We are now in discussion. Seeing none, we'll move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed. Okay, the appointments will be added to the agenda. Okay, and then if someone can make, sorry, let me add it so you actually know what appointments are being given.
Haven't voted any.
Okay. You know, we're some magic, so if you look at it again. Is it there? Is it there? Yay! Okay, awesome. Someone wants to make a motion, you don't have to. Senator Matashag.
I move to add the office of National Vice President of Local Affairs to the agenda.
Senator Nguyen. Second. Motion's been moved and seconded. We're in discussion. Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, motion passed. The appointments should be reflected on the agenda at the top. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. I do want to provide some context. In the past, we voted on each chair individually. We could do that. We could bundle and approve. You guys can make whatever motions you want. But yeah. And then I've also attached the interviews that I had with each chair, and their link as well. So Senator Giuseppe.
Unless anyone's like really concerned about any specific appointment, I think for the sake of time. I'll do.
That's up to you guys. You know, I didn't commit hours to this. Senator Carlin.
I motion to bundle and approve all the appointments.
All appointments. Okay, there's been a motion to bundle and approve all appointments. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen, second. The motion's been moved and seconded. We are not in discussion. Sorry, I did not mean to influence your vote in any way, guys. You guys can do whatever you want. Okay, seeing none, we will move into we'll do a Senate voting track vote, just since we have Senate chairs on here as well. Motion 9. Oh, is there anything on motion on Mondays? Senator Chinawala and Senator Cortez, if you guys could vote on motion 9, please, that'd be great. It's to bundle and approve all appointments. Thank you. Senator Cortez, if you can hear me. Okay, I will mark you as an abstention. Okay, vote reads 803. Motion passes. Okay, congrats on all the new Senate chairs. Super excited to work with you all. It's up to you. Yippee. And then congrats to everyone else as well. Okay, we'll move on to our discussion items. Anything we'd like to discuss? Remarks? Acceptance of the agenda? Floor is open. Senator Carl?
Should to accept the agenda.
Move to accept the agenda as amended.
Oh, move to accept the agenda as amended.
There's been a motion to accept the agenda as amended. Is there a second? Senator Kong?
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. We're now in discussion. Seeing none, do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. And then we're into adjournments. Senator Narataki?
Adjourn to adjourn.
Uh,
At 10:44 p.m.
Okay, there's been a motion to adjourn the meeting at 10:44 p.m. Is there a second? Senator Nguyen? Second. We're not in discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, motion passed. Yay! Great. I'm actually excited. Well, but then I'll help you all. But before 11 p.m. I mean, that's great. Yeah, we started late. Yeah, we started late. Wow. Sean,